Amy Schumer herself. One fan exposed that Amy is rude to her fans, and even caught the whole thing on video. While Amy was touring in Greenville, South Carolina, she posted a photo of a fan and claimed that he was harassing her to get a photo. The caption said in part, quote, "This guy in front of his family just ran up next to me, scared the out of me, put a camera in my face. I asked him to stop and he said, no, it's America and we paid for you." Apparently she asked him to stop multiple times, but he did not. She finished off saying that she was no longer going to take any photos with fans because of this guy in Greenville. But the fan, named Leslie Brewer, responded with his own Instagram post. He posted a video of his interaction with Schumer, and it was very different from what Schumer described. And in the video, Amy is calmly asking him to delete a photo of her that she didn't like. In response to this video, a source shared, quote, "She's always hated taking photos with fans, even before she had a TV show or a movie. She couldn't be bothered then and she can't be bothered now." After this all exploded, she said she will still take pictures with fans, only if she feels like it.
Kicking off our countdown list at number 10 is Lori Loughlin. The actress and mom was caught in a huge lie that had both her and her husband behind bars. Back in 2019, news broke that she had been caught in a college admission scandal that involved her two daughters, $500,000, and forged test scores. All of these lies were told to try to get her daughter's early admissions into a very competitive school. She and her daughter even faked rowing pictures to try to make her profile better, even though she is not a rower. Like, at all. The truth all came out and the entire family took the heat for these lies. Lori was given 2 months in prison and a $150,000 fine, 2 years of supervised release, and 100 hours of community service. Her husband received 5 months in jail, and her one daughter Olivia Jade, who's in the spotlight, faced a ton of backlash online and was dropped by a lot of her brand partnerships. Up next, number 9 is Bill Clinton. It was one phrase that he lied about constantly, and it was that lie that launched one of the biggest scandals in political history. The phrase being, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman." It was his denial about having an affair on his wife Hillary Clinton with a White House intern named Monica Lewinsky. However, the truth came out and involved secret tapes and an ongoing sexual relationship between the two of them. It was his actions and his lie that led to his impeachment in 1998 for lying under oath. Bill and Hillary, who stayed together despite the affair, recently opened up about the scandal in a 2020 Netflix documentary called Hillary. In the documentary, he said the affair was a way of managing his anxieties, and the reason he lied was because of the risk. He admitted that he knew it was bad for his family, bad for the country, and bad for people who worked with him during that time. Some of them knew, y'all. Some of them knew, and they were too scared to tell anyone because they would lose their job. Would you tell? No. That's the President of the United States. I ain't telling shit if I work in the White House. Cruising in number 8, we have Paris Hilton. She has been in a few controversies throughout her career, but one of them led to her arrest. And it just so happened to be the one where she was caught in a bunch of lies. The lie came when she did an interview with Larry King and told him that she had never done illegal substances. She told him she took Adderall and explained that she has ADD and has to take it. However, that seemed to be a lie because in 2010 she was arrested in Las Vegas for having illegal substances in her possession. She was found in a car with her boyfriend at the time when officers saw smoke wafting from the car. They decided to investigate what was going on and they found more than they were expecting. She ended up pleading guilty to substance possession and obstructing an officer. She did not receive prison time, if you remember the story, but she did walk away with a hefty probation, community service hours, and a fine. Sniping the number 7 spot is Flo Rida. Back in 2014, he was facing a huge scandal in his career when his former assistant came forward claiming that he had underpaid her. A woman named Mahogany Miller sued him in 2012, claiming that he worked her to her bone for chump change and then fired her when she complained about the low wages. The lawsuit dragged on for more than 2 years, with the rapper claiming his innocence, lying and saying that her claims were not true. But apparently that was all just one big lie, and she had some evidence to back it up when it came to fighting this in court. She was his administrative assistant and said she worked 65 hours a week while being paid less than the minimum wage. that even legal? In 2014, he agreed to settle it and pay her just under $9,000 and then another $10,000 to her attorneys. Rolling into number 6, we have Steve Ranazizi. The comedian made one of the worst decisions in his career when he decided to lie about escaping the 9/11 attacks. The worst part was he kept up this charade for years until he got exposed. During interviews, he would often speak about how he followed his dream of being a comedian due to the terrifying events of that day. In 2009, he claimed he had been working for Merrill Lynch on the 54th floor of the South Tower when the first plane hit. He spoke in detail about what happened in that moment and everything that he remembered from that day. However, in 2015, evidence surfaced and proved that his story was a lie. There was no record of him ever working in the World Trade Center, and on that day, there was evidence that he was actually in Midtown. The comedian came forward admitting that he lied about the whole thing and said, "I was not at the Trade Center on that day. I don't know why I said this. This was inexcusable. I am truly, truly sorry." Yeah, I ain't got nothing to say. I don't know how you lie about something like that. And why. Anyways, I'll go on a rant. Taking the halfway point to number 5 is the writer James Frey. A report showed that James was caught lying to Oprah and to the readers of his memoir. James was caught lying about many events that were shared in his book. A book that was initially praised for its work on love, loss and addiction, all while being featured for a top pick on Oprah's book club. Though shortly afterwards, the public would later find out that James Frey made the entire thing up, leading for James's career to immediately take a turn for the worse as his agency dropped him and his publisher filed a class action lawsuit against him. Later, James was confronted by Oprah about his dishonesty, with Oprah confessing that she finds it difficult to even talk to him in the interview as she doesn't know what's the truth and what is false. Not to mention the millions of readers that were deceived by his untruthful writing. Moving on to number 4, we have Bow Wow. The American rapper was caught being dishonest when he posted an Instagram picture flexing his private jet and luxury lifestyle. But Bow Wow was spotted by a fellow passenger on a commercial flight in economy class. From connecting the dots, fans were able to trace down the original photo posted on Instagram of the private jet to the stock photo that a fan took on Snapchat and exposed him. After being called out for this, Bow Wow couldn't live it down and was mocked on social media, with the hashtag Bow Wow challenge trending all over Twitter afterwards, of people essentially posting side-by-side images, with the first one being seemingly glamorous and the second image showing the harsh reality. Now, there is nothing wrong with flying economy class, but like, why'd you feel the need to lie, man? Like, did you really think no one would see you on that flight? Taking the third spot on this list is Tiger Woods. Seeing Woods in controversial headlines is nothing new, but this lie was one of the biggest. During a golf tournament, Tiger Woods apparently had a disagreement with his opponent, Sergio Garcia. Later on in the match, Tiger Woods interacted with the course marshals, with the marshals giving Woods permission to swing, even though his opponent was supposed to be going first. This led to the distracting crowd impairing Sergio's game because of the noise that Woods sparked, though when the course marshals were asked about the incident and why it happened, they did not recall giving Woods permission to continue. This miscommunication led Tiger Woods to win the series, leaving a forever standing feud between the two players, as Sergio felt like he was at the major disadvantage due to Tiger's actions, which he kinda was. In recent interviews, Tiger Woods has actually admitted in multiple interviews about his deceptive behaviors, and even stated that he was living a lie and that he did this because he found it fun.
Alright, some of these plastic surgery results are absolutely shocking. First off, we have Meg Ryan. Meg Ryan, who's known for her sweet, innocent look, unveiled a dramatically different look in recent years. Ryan appeared in various rom-coms and series in the 80s and 90s that matched her bubbly personality. It was a time that demonstrated her external and internal beauty. However, female heroine roles eluded the actress in recent years. She decided to go for the classic Real Housewives of Beverly Hills look and change the natural grace that she had during her prime. Her new appearance sparked debates among fans and the general audience about whether she got work done. The most obvious thing Meg Ryan got done is cheek filler or fat transfer to her cheeks, doctors say. When she smiles, the filler seems to move up, making her eyes look smaller, one doctor said. Surgeons Researchers believe Meg may have had too much Botox on her forehead, which dropped to the brows during time. As a result, her eyes looking smaller. Although she still looks absolutely beautiful, it is safe to say everybody misses her cute innocence from the 80s and 90s. Next up, we have Mickey Rourke. This American actor first appeared in Body Heat in 1981 before showing his acting prowess in his preceding films. It's nothing new to compare Rourke's work with the likes of James Dean, even Robert De Niro. His re-emergence in the 2000s with prominent roles in Sin City 2005 and The Wrestler in 2008 solidified his status in Hollywood. Plus, he was once known as one of the film industry's most handsome stars. Unfortunately, plastic surgery made his career dwindle. With his bad boy persona in 80s cinema, a botched plastic surgery changed the public's perception of him. The general audience argues that he had cheek and maybe chin implants. He lost his original tough guy packaging after the surgeries. In 2009, Rourke admitted that his looks did change because of botched plastic surgery. He said most of it was done to mend his boxing injuries. However, he went to the wrong guy to put his face back together, resulting in an extremely changed look. Next up, we have Madonna. At the 2023 Grammys, Madonna revealed her new look, and fans were, let's just say, confused. Some calling her a quote alien trying to blend in as a human, and others blatantly calling her quote hideous. 2 days after the Grammys, Madonna slammed people who chose to focus on her looks instead of the speech she gave before the historic performance she introduced. Sam Smith and Kim Petras were the stars that she was introducing that night. Instead of focusing on what I said in my speech, which was about giving thanks for the fearlessness of artists like Sam and Kim, many people chose to only talk about close-up photos of me taken with a long lens camera by a press photographer that would distort anybody's face, she captioned an Instagram video on February 7th. The pop icon went on to say that she is once again caught in the glare of ageism and misogyny that permeates the world we live in. Madonna says this world does not, quote, celebrate women past the age of 45 and will punish her if she continues to be strong-willed, hardworking, and adventurous. I have never apologized for any of the creative choices I've made, nor the way that I look or dress, and I'm not going to start today, the 7-time Grammy winner continued. I have been degraded by the media since the beginning of my career, but I understand that this is all a test, and I'm happy to do the trailblazing so that all the women behind me can have an easier time in the years to come. In the words of Beyonce, you won't break my soul. Next up, we have Miss Ariana Grande. Now, this one is not as noticeable as the other celebs we talked about, but fans are still wondering what happened to her face. YouTube videos went viral in 2023 and 2022 titled, quote, what happened to Ariana's face, and Ariana's eyes are weird. Here's what we know about Ariana Grande's alleged plastic surgery. 1. A nose job. Ariana Grande allegedly had a rhinoplasty procedure to reduce her nose size and shape it more naturally. This is one of the most common types of rhinoplasty procedures performed on celebrities because it gives them an instantly slimmer face, which makes them appear younger than their actual age. Number 2. Surgeons think she's had a brow lift. According to sources close to Ariana Grande, it is true that she has undergone a brow lift surgery. That is in order to eliminate the sagging skin under her eyes and make her look more youthful. It can do that by helping you look less tired or stressed out while also removing that angry look from your face. Number 3, surgeons think that she has had a facelift in recent years. Another common procedure that many stars go through is facial rejuvenation with fillers such as Botox injections. It helps prevent wrinkles from forming around their eyes or mouth area over time due to their age. Ariana even got emotional in a video posted on Vogue's YouTube channel recently where she actually admits she no longer continues the Botox treatment and she felt like she was, quote, hiding herself under all those cosmetic procedures. Next up, we have the late Joan Rivers. In 2010, at 23 years old, Rivers revealed that she underwent 10 cosmetic procedures in one day, including a chin reduction, brow lift, and Botox injections. This beloved American comedian, host, and actress paved her way into stardom with her natural beauty. However, it comes as no surprise when plastic surgery enters the equation of a celebrity's life. She has had multiple procedures like facelifts, neck lifts, to name a few. In an interview with her husband Spencer Pratt, she said that she was too young to make life-changing decisions. She said she was under so much pressure from what she saw on the internet, it made her do these surgeries. But Joan Rivers said that everybody should take plastic surgery seriously. For her, the recovery was devastating. Her heart even stopped for a bit, which made her more transparent about all the work that she has gotten done. Next up, we have Jocelyn Wildenstein, a Swiss socialite formerly married to billionaire Alec Wildenstein. When in 1999 Alec filed for divorce, she reportedly spent $4 million on various surgeries. She denies having excessive plastic surgery, citing it's just her Swiss heritage, but admitted to one surgery to make her eyes more cat-like. According to her ex, Alec Wildenstein, she was thinking that she could fix her face like a piece of furniture. Skin does not work that way, he says. Wildenstein claims that she has not had any income at all for the last 8 years after her ex-husband's former family cut her off from her $100 million annual divorce settlement payments. The Swiss-born socialite decided to make a 2-part docuseries and potential TV show produced by the team behind the hit Keeping Up with the Kardashians because all her money's gone. I have a huge problem with my settlement, she told The Telegraph at the luxurious Mayborn Hotel in LA. Since 8 years, they have completely cut me off, she says. Wildenstein, now 82, rose to fame in the 1990s during her high-profile divorce from her art-dealing husband, Alec Wildenstein, from which she received a whopping $2.5 billion in the settlement and $100 million each year afterwards. Next up, we have Miss Donatella Versace. Her designs for Versace may spark 1,000 copycats, but there's no danger of women following suit when it comes to her new face. 20 years ago, the fashion guru had naturally full lips and very smooth skin, but as she stepped out 10 years ago in 2014 for the first time since major surgeries, her face was striking for all the wrong reasons. Users on Reddit have shared their opinions, and some of these comments are not the nicest, let's just say. Why is her face slick like Vaseline? She looks like a Muppet. And why does she look extraterrestrial? Are some of the top comments on the thread. Next up, we have Zac Efron. Considering that Zac Efron has literally grown up on screen, his fans are pretty familiar with his famous good looks. From his wholesome start as a teen star in High School Musical, through his recent dramatic turn in The Iron Claw, audiences have seen him through a variety of stages. When the heartthrob started looking noticeably different in recent years, they were understandably curious. Thankfully, there's no speculation necessary. Efron himself has been fairly candid about what has led to the transformation in his appearance. Zac Efron's famous face does look a bit different nowadays. The former Disney star revealed that he did have to undergo some medical procedures, but not for the cosmetic reasons some people might assume. In a 2022 interview with Men's Health, the actor revealed that his enlarged jawline was actually due to an old injury. While running in socks in his home in 2013, Efron slipped and smashed his chin against the granite corner of a fountain. The injury was so severe he lost consciousness, and when he woke up, his chin bone was hanging off his face. As for how the 2013 injury impacted his appearance so many years later, he explained to Men's Health that it related to his masseter muscles overcompensating for the injured muscles in his face, combined with his temporary failure to continue physical therapy.
Number 10, Rose McGowan. So let's talk about the show Charmed for a second, a solid series that was on air for basically 10 years. The series followed 3 sisters that discover they are descendants of a long line of good female witches and are destined to fight against the forces of evil. Yes, it was a very fun show, however, just because you play sisters on set does not mean that you're always going to be close in real life. Rose McGowan and Alyssa Milano had a very public altercation that resulted in a little incident on set being shared with the world. Rose claimed that Alyssa threw a fit in front of the crew, yelling, warning, they don't pay me enough to do this stuff. Only she didn't say stuff. She called Alyssa's behavior appalling, claiming she cried every time that the show got renewed for another season because it just meant more time on a toxic set. Alyssa never shared her comments on the situation, confirming what she was being accused of. Number 9. Richard Gere. Richard Gere is one of those actors that doesn't really act. Sometimes people just get hired for films because they have a face for it or the style. For Richard, he did not have enough class and moxie to keep a handle on his role in the film Lords of the Flatbush. He was casted to star alongside Rocky himself, Sylvester Stallone, and according to Sly, the two didn't get along at all. Their beef was strong and long-lasting throughout the entire production until it finally came to a head one day when Richard was a bit too into one scene and he actually grabbed Sylvester pretty aggressively by the collar. When Sly told him to lay off, he laid in instead. The scene was being filmed on Coney Island, and when the actors took a minute to take a break, they tried to break each other. Sly was eating a hot dog alone in his car, which sounds pretty peaceful, and suddenly Richard stormed in, joined him with half of a chicken dripping in mustard, and despite his warnings about the mustard, seriously, it dripped all over his pants. In true Rocky fashion, he elbowed Richard in the face, threw him out of his car, and the altercation resulted in Richard being fired from the project. Oh no, they had to decide between Richard Gere and Rocky. I wonder how quick that decision was. Number 8. Selma Blair. It's funny that this entry involves Charlie Sheen getting a woman fired when he himself has been fired from so many projects because of, well, several reasons. After being fired from 2.5 Men, Sheen returned to the acting world, headlining his own show called Anger Management. It premiered in 2012 with cast featuring Hellboy alumni Selma Blair playing his colleague and friend with benefits on the show. However, Sheen's terrible behavior continued to haunt him from his 2.5 Men days. Blair was very vocal on her problems with Charlie, especially his messy work ethic. Charlie heard and he was having none of that, so he threatened to quit the show if Blair was going to remain a part of the cast. Sheen got his way and Blair was let go after starring in 54 episodes. The show didn't last long though. Who would have guessed that a messy actor being the lead was a bad idea? It got cancelled in 2014. Next up, 7. Shannen Doherty. Unfortunately for Shannen Doherty, she gained quite the reputation in Hollywood for being fired due to issues with her co-stars. She may or may not be making another appearance on this list. Who knows? Guess you'll have to stick around to find out. For the first entry, we're going to look back to the very popular series teen drama 90210, a series following the lives of the Walsh family as they moved from Minneapolis to Beverly Hills. Doherty played the character Brenda Walsh, with her character eventually befriending several students at Beverly Hills High, including Donna Martin, played by Tori Spelling. The series was a hit after its initial season, however, with increased popularity came massive egos. Doherty and Spelling started clashing on set constantly, adding additional drama to the production team that really just didn't need to be there. Considering Tori's father, Aaron Spelling, was the producer on the show, it's pretty simple to piece together what happened. Doherty claimed that she was officially let go for having a haircut that messed up the continuity of the show, but a wig could have fixed that, so better believe Tori Spelling told her papa to boot her from the series. Number 6. Edward Norton. As we all know, Edward Norton didn't last long as the Incredible Hulk in the MCU, only being in one movie in 2008. By the way, I've read some of the comments, and no, Edward Norton was not the first person to play the Hulk on screen. The honor goes to Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby from the original series, and don't you dare get me started on Eric Bana, looking like he's farting every time he turns into the Hulk. The 2008 film was a success, but not a massive box office goat. The studio were at odds and they wanted to keep using the Hulk and incorporate him into the Avengers, but Edward Norton was becoming increasingly difficult to work with. When he was contacted to keep playing the character, he demanded more money from the studio. However, he was already on thin ice following his time filming The Incredible Hulk. While not some wild on-set meltdown, Norton did make some pretty odd choices. For instance, as part of his contract, he was allowed to rewrite the script as much as he wanted, but it still needed to be approved. So he wrote new scripts over and over again until we got the 2008 Incredible Hulk movie with some of Ed's ideas baked into the final script. Kevin Feige claims that the choice to part ways with Ed was not based on money, but instead on Marvel just wishing to hire an actor that embodies the creative and collaboration side of their talented members. Essentially, he was like, Mark Ruffalo's nicer than you and he doesn't write his scripts, so bye-bye. This ended up being a great decision on both parts though, because Mark Ruffalo is fantastic as Bruce Banner and the Hulk, and Edward went on to make several high-quality films, including a few collaborations with Wes Anderson. Moonrise Kingdom would not have been the same without Edward Norton as Scoutmaster Ward. Number 5. Anne Hathaway. So fun fact that I was unaware of until today, Anne Hathaway was almost a secondary lead in one of the most universally loved Seth Rogen movies of all time. Knocked Up from 2007 follows Seth Rogen and Katherine Heigl as they prepare for the arrival of an unplanned baby after a one-night stand. The cast was packed with stellar comedians like Paul Paul Rudd, Jonah Hill, Leslie Mann, so many more, and the cast almost featured an up-and-coming actor at the time, Anne Hathaway. Anne is famous these days for roles in movies like Princess Diary, Interstellar, and Ocean's 8. These days, she's considered to be at the top of the A-list. In 2013, she even took home her first Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. Now, before this though, she actually agreed to be in Knocked Up because she thought the script was great and that Seth Rogen, is Seth Rogen. You work with him every chance you can. However, she eventually decided not to participate in the film after one issue with the script became cause for concern. The scene in question was one of the final moments in the film, which for those of you who have seen the movie know is pretty graphic. The birthing scene in Knocked Up ended up being a combination of Catherine acting and some close-up clips of her cookie. Anne read that part and decided that her first role in a major comedy movie should maybe be something else. Although it was confirmed that it was not going to be her bits and bobs on display, she has a no birthday suit clause. It worked out for everyone though, because Catherine did a great job despite hating the set apparently, and Anne Hathaway is one of the biggest movie stars to date, so good for her. Number 4, Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper is one of the groundbreaking actors and directors from the 1960s and 70s New Hollywood, eventually finding his niche in the early 90s, playing villains in movies like Speed, Waterworld, and the live-action Mario Brothers movie, where he plays Bowser. Yes, that exists. No, it's not good. So it came as no surprise when he was casted to play Kristoff, the all-powerful TV producer controlling Truman Burbank's life in the movie The Truman Show. The cast was incredible and included Hollywood heavyweight Jim Carrey as the titular Truman. Anyone with a brain cell would have been excited to be a part of this film, still considered to be one of his best dramatic performances. However, 2 days into filming his scenes for Kristoff, which were only expected to take about 10 days to film, Hopper was unceremoniously let go from the set. Apparently, Dennis had a contract in place with producer Scott Rudin that he would be fired should his work be unsatisfactory. He must have been pretty bad in the role, as the director Peter Weir has been described as extremely reluctant to ever remove an actor from a movie. Reports later surfaced that Hopper was basically half asleep while playing the character, and while Kristoff wasn't written to be like a manic man or anything, he did require some effort to be properly pulled off. Ultimately, Ed Harris stepped in to play the role after production had been desperately trying to replace Dennis to avoid having the film be shut down entirely. Thankfully, that never happened, and The Truman Show has gone on to be one of the most depressingly heartfelt Jim Carrey performances ever. Oh, and Ed actually got nominated for an Oscar, so sorry Dennis, looks like it was a good move. Number 3, Jean-Claude Van Damme. The Belgian actor Jean-Claude Van Damme was just on the verge of coming into his own career as the Muscles from Brussels when he landed a job opposite of Arnold Schwarzenegger in 1987's action flick Predator. This sounded like the perfect casting choice. Jean would have worked alongside the likes of Carl Weathers and Jesse Ventura. While this may have turned out cool, the reality was that Jean wasn't casted to play one of the Marines at all. Instead, he was casted to play the titular Predator himself. The special effects artists behind the project called the experience with Jean as a hilarious comedy of errors, in which no party knew exactly what the other was expecting. Apparently, nobody actually told him that the role was basically just a glorified stuntman. They were prepared to direct him to just hop around like a frog, but Jean was obviously confused and upset with that choice. According to him, he had just gotten off the boat and was under the impression that he was going to be showcasing his martial arts skills to the world, but instead he was reduced to a massive, slow-moving alien with dreadlocks. To the surprise of absolutely nobody, Van Damme was furious and dispirited about spending the entire movie cooped up in a clunky and often ridiculous-looking suit, and he was ultimately fired and replaced with Kevin Peter Hall. The idea that he was just on set being like, I can barely move in this thing, it makes me so happy. Number 2, Janet Hubert. Will Smith got his big break in the acting world thanks to the success of the sitcom Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's a show following Will as the titular prince living with a wealthy family in Bel-Air surrounded by cousins, uncles, and of course Aunt Vivian. In season 1, Aunt Viv was played by a woman named Janet Hubert Witten, but as a lot of people know, she was recasted after an on-set feud with Will Smith went a little bit too far. According to Will, Janet viewed him as an antagonist in her life. She had been in the business for years, and suddenly Will Smith popped into her life, and she had a tinge of jealousy towards him because he got into town, got a gig. Well, hey, that's what happens when you're good. She was trying to convince the producers to give her character more screen time and allow her to breathe on camera, but they said no because it wasn't the Aunt Viv show. She fought back hard, but it was ultimately decided that she would be asked to sit out the rest of the series and was replaced by Daphne Maxwell Reid, who is Aunt Viv.
Cruising through to number 2, we have the infamous Kanye West phone call to Taylor Swift. This crazy story starts with Kanye purposely leaking video and audio footage of the conversation that he had with Taylor over the phone. The leaked footage made it seem like Taylor gave full permission for Kanye to use the line, I quote, "I made that boop famous" in one of his new singles. But in reality, Kanye never actually read that line to Taylor, and he put the explicit lyric in his song without her consent. After Kanye leaked the edited conversation to the public, many people were quick to send Taylor Swift an absurd amount of hate, claiming that she was in the wrong because in the audio Kanye leaked, she was clearly fine with being mentioned in the song that way. Though nearly 4 years later, the truth would come out with the full unedited conversation being actually leaked, with this version showing the full story and how Taylor never actually gave permission to Kanye. And during their phone call, Taylor clearly felt uncomfortable when asked if it was okay if she would be mentioned in the song, but Kanye did not seem to care as he proceeded to make jokes about it. With the shocking news that Taylor was wrongfully accused this whole time and undeservingly given hate by millions of people on social media, many felt instant sympathy for her. I did, but I never believed Kanye anyway. And last but not least, taking our number 1 spot, we have the Tonya Harding incident. Tonya was a very successful competitive figure skater that was praised for her dedication and outstanding skills in figure skating. After being the best in her craft, she began to be challenged by Nancy Kerrigan. Nancy was a figure skater that had a long-standing rivalry with Harding, and it ended up being that Nancy was the one person in the way of Tonya making her way to the Olympic team. Tonya's greed for success led her to scheme against Nancy to hire a hitman to intimidate her with a club. The hitman acted accordingly and promptly hit Nancy on her knee, leaving Nancy injured and unable to compete. With a full investigation going on about the attack, the team behind the attack would confess in the planning behind it, though Tonya insisted to not be involved. Later on, Tonya and Nancy would compete against each other, and with Tonya being on the bad side of the karma, she ended up coming in 8th, while Nancy took 2nd place. In due course, after the competition, the evidence mounted against Tonya continued to grow, and she eventually pleaded guilty to the attack. Everyone was waiting for that, leaving her with her figure skating titles taken away from her, and she was banned from the USFSA forever.
At number 10, we have Miss Get It Fresh Fergie. Now, Fergie was a super hot topic of conversation in the early 2000s. She was a part of the musical group Black Eyed Peas, which saw her collectively dominating the charts and industry for a few years. But that sudden success took a startling halt as she began to lose mainstream success by 2009, in light of the Black Eyed Peas' extended hiatus and her lack of chart-topping singles since 2007. Still, I'm sure nothing could prepare Fergie for her final memorable performance to date, because it was unfortunately not her best. She took center court at the 2018 NBA All-Stars game to sing the US national anthem, and what should have been a simple boost of confidence for her stumbling career instead turned into a theatrical, overly sensual, semi-comedic, and overall inappropriate choice of creative direction, which soon became the talk of the town for not so great reasons. Her performance is quite painful to watch, but I will say it's a known fact that this roughly 2.5-minute rendition further plummeted Fergie's drowning reputation, and was pretty much the end of her. The performance had fans and players in attendance attempting to stifle their laughter out of respect, while cameras awkwardly panned around the space, trying their best to capture them breaking their poker faces. Some were even caught red-handed on live television, and to say the least, they're much better than me, because I would have been slapping my knees with tears running down my face by the end of it. This performance caused waves on social media, and shortly after, another wild performance of Fergie cartwheeling on GMA in 2008 resurfaced. The internet's lack of ability to take Fergie serious as an artist reemerged as they practically dragged her name through the mud. To be fair, the US national anthem seems to be career-ending for so many celebrities. However, I feel this means Fergie should just be banned from performing on all live TV shows if they're just gonna keep memeing her every time. At number 9, we have the once beloved American chef Paula Deen. Her attraction in the media was instant, and she was admired worldwide for her vast cooking skills and seemingly great personality. Until people got a dish of the real Paula, and it's safe to say many were left fuming when her truth was revealed. A former employee named Lisa Jackson sued Paula under the grounds of racial and sexual discrimination. She was accused of attempting to host a plantation-themed wedding for her brother, complete with black servants, as well as regularly used racial slurs such as the N-word, all of which she later admitted to during testimony. Paula claims she picked up her idea from another restaurant where she believed the concept was, quote, beautiful, really impressive. According to The Guardian, Paula even tweeted a since-deleted picture of her son in brownface following her 2015 Dancing with the Stars appearance. But despite her excuses, Paula's actions spoke far louder than her words, and she was now deemed top racist rather than top chefed. She took to apologizing on the Today Show to try to smooth things over. However, she played the victim the entire time, so it wasn't believable nor tasteful in any way. Lucrative partnerships like MasterChef were pulled immediately once major corporations severed their ties with her, and Food Network reacted accordingly to her verified court statement, where they refused to renew her contract despite several apologies. Karma is a dish best served cold, I guess. At number 8, we have married duo Natalia Kills and Willie Moon. Their blow-up on contestant Joe Irvine during an X Factor New Zealand filming was quite literally career-ending. Natalia was joined alongside her husband as they berated the man. Natalia proceeded to mock Joe on live TV by going on a rant about how Joe was trying to be a carbon copy of her husband. Quote, as an artist who respects creative integrity and intellectual property, I am disgusted at how much you've copied my husband. From the hair to the suit, do you not have any value or respect for originality? Now, Willie's comments seemed a bit more personal, and quite frankly a lot more harsh. He added more fuel to the fire by comparing Joe to Norman Bates in Leatherface. He called Joe creepy and alleged how he would steal someone's face and assassinate everybody in the audience. These two gained the brand as the nastiest TV judges after the incident aired and their careers vaporized. The two faced severe backlash, and as a result, they were fired. And well, karma came in full circle, I guess, because I haven't seen nor heard from these guys since. Natalia legally rebranded herself as Teddy Sinclair shortly after, but there's no forgetting her or her husband's trashy 2015 ways. I, for one, will not be supporting their now banned Cruel Youth, and honestly, the world should really just do us all a favor and ban them before they ever try to make another live TV appearance again. At number 7, we have everyone's favorite controversial talk show host, Steve Harvey. Now, Steve has several backlashes that can be deemed worthy enough to get the boot from live TV, but for the sake of time, I'll only break down a few. Let's start with the one no one can ever forget, because this pop culture moment in history will never go down without a fight. The 2015 Miss Universe show saw Steve name Miss Colombia as the winner, when in reality it was Miss Philippines who took the crown. The host spent weeks apologizing for the embarrassing mix-up, and the world understandably took forever to move on. A few years back, Steve made an appearance on Tyra Banks' talk show where he informed her that no woman should be dating an atheist. In January 2017, Steve spewed a racial joke against Asian men on his show in 2002, which he was heavily criticized for and later issued a public apology. On an appearance for The View, Steve made a controversial comment about gay men in reference to them not being, quote, real men. He was quickly checked and corrected by another host on the panel. Steve had a segment on Good Morning America where he hinted that you cannot stop a man from coming onto you once he's interested, because, quote, men don't care what women do, in response to a caller politely inquiring how to turn a man down. So, moral of the point is here, he's made sexist, homophobic, and crude remarks, and he's also messed up the winner of one of the biggest pageant shows in the world. With all these controversies attached to his name, there's no wonder more than half of Hollywood is still so persistent in getting this guy off live TV. And to be fair, I don't really blame them. At number 6, we have comedian Jamie Kennedy. Now, Jamie was already at the brink of his career for his TV miss, but he once found major success in the late 90s and early 2000s through 3 separate Scream movies, Romeo and Juliet, and The Jamie Kennedy Experience. Where it all went wrong, though, was his 2012 hosting for The First Night 2013 with Jamie Kennedy. This special was an entire disaster filled with major technical issues and overall embarrassing unprofessionalism. It was dubbed as one of the worst New Year's Eve specials of all time and was the final nail in the coffin for Jamie's career. Jamie spent the night not knowing where the stage manager was when they were back on live and was super confrontational the whole time. He even missed the initial countdown because he inaccurately counted down the new year wrong. There was also the literal on-stage physical fight at the very end of the broadcast, where Kennedy says, quote, "There's a fight, it's ending with a fight." I mean, I know we all make mistakes, but if one can't even get this kind of live broadcasting right, I don't know, maybe Jamie does deserve a subtle boot.
Our next celebrity is Miss Dolly Parton. Dolly is a country music legend known for hits like I Will Always Love You and 9 to 5, but she's equally known for her plastic assets as well. One of the first times she admitted to getting work done was in 1977 in an interview with Barbara Walters. But honestly, Dolly, we love you and you look great. Our final celebrity today is Kylie Jenner. Since her initial debut on reality television, Kylie Jenner has undergone a significant, very dramatic shift from her lips to even her skin tone. Her latest new image, however, showcases a larger butt and a smaller waist. Most likely, a Brazilian butt lift or buttock implants were used to achieve the new look. To create a lower waist and a bumpier back, the Brazilian butt lift combines severe body sculpting with liposuction. For reference, a BBL employs liposuction to remove fat from other parts of the body, in other words, moving things around. Often the fat on the stomach or thighs is sucked out and injected into the buttocks. In a recent episode of the family show The Kardashians, Kylie said she would reverse the decision to get plastic surgery if she could. "I wish I never got it done to begin with," she told her BFF. "I recommend anyone thinking about it to wait after having children." She went on to say that her daughter Stormy, 5 years old, helped her keep things in perspective. "Obviously I have a daughter too. I'd be heartbroken if she wanted to get her body done at 19, like Kylie did. She's the most beautiful thing ever."
At number 10, we have Gwen Stefani. Now, Gwen Stefani's face has been the hot topic over the last couple of months as the stars sat down in an interview on Late Night with Seth Meyers. Fans were shocked to see Gwen and claimed that she looks unrecognizable, and it made them even check twice to see if it was actually her. It's clear that Gwen wanted to appear ageless, however, her ageless looks have definitely been the subject of many conversations over the years. However, this time Gwen took the cosmetic procedures way too far. It's clear that the star has had one too many procedures done, and at this point, it no longer looks natural. And it's kinda heartbreaking and sad to see. One fan has even gone to beg the star to stop having surgery and just to leave her face alone. At number 9, we have Brendan Fraser. Now, Brendan Fraser hit the red carpet for a premiere of the film No Sudden. Brendan's look dramatically changed, and compared to his days in The Mummy, he doesn't look the same. At the time, Brendan was set to star as a 600-pound character in the film Whale. As a result, he had to put on weight for the role. Since his return to Hollywood, fans have been in full swing of support for the star and have even addressed the fact that they've missed the actor. However, his face isn't the only thing that you'll see that's changed, as his beautiful full locks are no longer here and his hair is now buzzed and looking much thinner. And just like his fans, I hope Brendan Fraser is healthy and happy and doing better now that he's entering back into the scene of Hollywood. Are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. At number 8, we have Jessica Simpson. Now, Jessica Simpson has sparked concern from fans after she posted a new Instagram selfie looking very thin and different. With the star posting a photo showing off her new look, fans would tell her it definitely wasn't trendworthy, and they would continue to ask her if she was okay. Now, Jessica over the last few years has admitted to disliking her own face fillers that she got when she was feeling insecure about her appearance. But considering her surgeries mixed with weight loss, the star is completely unrecognizable to this day. And it's really hard to see if she's okay or not, but she has revealed that she has lost 100 pounds and she has been battling with certain life issues. At number 7, we have Kelly McGillis. So remember the bad blondie from Top Gun, Kelly McGillis? Well, the 65-year-old is completely unrecognizable from her days as the silver screen siren. The mama too has ditched her trademark blonde look, and she's even swapped out her glamorous wardrobe for a casual baggy trouser and t-shirts. The star has also opted to never have fillers, Botox, or plastic surgery, and she's refused to dye her now gray hair as she wants to embrace who she is. Now, Kelly has come out to say that in the past she's tried to be something that she wasn't, and it ruined her life in a lot of ways. And now she understands that now that she's gotten older and she's not into the whole Hollywood industry standard things anymore, and she wants to feel absolutely secure in her skin and with her age, and in a place that values other stuff. And at number 6, we have Laura Flynn Boyle. So 90s star Laura Flynn Boyle looks completely unrecognizable when you compare her to her days as Hollywood's it girl. Now, for years the star has had to deal with rumors that she's gotten under the knife to change her appearance, and of course, Laura has never admitted to plastic surgery, but it's clear that the star definitely went too far with fillers and other procedures. Now, the celebrity plastic surgeon, Dr. Anthony Yoon, has also come to say that the star's face looks like it's melting as her face now looks deflated with resultant loose skin, most likely because she's undergone corrective surgery to reverse some of the work she's had previously done, or she's just allowed fillers to dissolve on their own, which is leaving her cheeks looking to appear saggy. And at number 5 we have Wendy Williams. When Wendy Williams stepped out of her New York City apartment back in August, she was captured leaving the building holding onto her bodyguard. Now the photos would appear that Wendy is unable to walk on her own, and the stars look dramatically thinner than she ever has before. And because of the weight loss, her cheekbones would be on full display and her overall appearance of her face looked pretty scary. Her day's look has definitely sparked some concerns from fans, as many of them felt like she was dealing with a lot, and it's clear that she should have been at home resting. It's clear that the star is struggling with her overall health and personal struggles, and she's currently a patient in a treatment program to help treat her overall health issues. At number 4 we have Bridget Fonda. After disappearing from the spotlight for 20 years, 90s actor Bridget Fonda was caught outside of LA in a baggy t-shirt and glasses, and the star looked completely different compared to her days on the big screen. The star has definitely refused to have any cosmetic procedures done, and she's aged. She's chosen to rock her gray locks and has ditched her glamorous outfits and has opted to dress more comfortably. The star has also put on a lot of weight, but she still looks healthy and happy, and that's all that really matters. While the star's still stunning, it's a shame that the tabloids still feel a need to invade her privacy since the star did retire back in 2002. At number 3 we have Mickey Rourke. American actor Mickey Rourke looks completely different following an incident with plastic surgery and fillers. Now, Mickey was once one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood after his debut in a minor role in Steven Spielberg's film 1941. However, in the early 90s, the star decided to leave his acting career behind and he decided to take up professional boxing. Unfortunately, with his boxing career would come a string of severe facial injuries, such as a broken nose and a compressed cheekbone. Mickey would then undergo several reconstructive surgeries to treat his injuries. However, the surgeries would fail and it would prompt the actor to go under the knife consistently. While the star wanted to fix his face, he definitely went to the wrong guy to do it, so you should always remember to do your research before, because not everybody is good at their jobs and some people just like to do the bare minimum. At number 2 we have Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill looks completely different from his days in the movie Superbad. Now, Jonah has noted that when he began to understand how much it hurt to be called fat, gross, and unattractive early in his career, he knew he wanted to feel more comfortable taking off his shirt to tan without judgment. So the star decided to opt for a better diet and began to work out to shed the pounds. Now, his slender figure alone would leave him alone unrecognizable. However, recently the star has chosen to grow out his beard and his hair longer, and he's opted to go blonde. Personally, I'm glad Jonah feels more comfortable and happy in his own skin because he deserves nothing but the best, but this guy has always looked good, and it's sad that the industry made him feel the way he is feeling, and that's why he opted to change. And at number 1 today we have Hilary Duff. Hilary Duff is one ageless beauty we can't seem to get enough of. Since her rising to fame from Disney Channel's show, Lizzie McGuire, to a photo of her now shows that the star just keeps getting more gorgeous. Hilary's stunning appearance, however, has made us wonder if she's gotten plastic surgery, because the star doesn't look the exact same as she used to before. The star has opted for a longer, icy blonde look, and definitely looks like she's had a nose job and lip injections done as well. While she denies having any type of surgeries or fillers, she has opted to say that the reason she looks so good is due to her $1,244 beauty routine. However, the main thing is that Hilary has changed her appearance in her teeth, and the actress has gotten porcelain veneers, which have made her teeth a bright white color and has also given her a larger, more symmetrical teeth along her bottom ridges.
Number 1, Thomas Gibson. Thomas made a name for himself, starring as one of the leads of the series Criminal Minds. He was on the show for a few years, and in that time he made quite a few problems for those unfortunate enough to be staff members of the series. There were a few issues over the years that would have warranted some action, like screaming at producers and writers for not doing a good job. But the incident that got him kicked off of the show for good involved, well, a kick. In 2016, Thomas was swiftly fired from the series after an incident with a writer named Virgil Williams. An internal investigation revealed that Thomas kicked Virgil one day during production of an episode that Gibson was actually directing. And as I said, this isn't the first incident on set that really should have resulted in some kind of punishment, because 3 years earlier, in 2013, he pleaded no contest to no juice related reckless driving after being arrested under suspicion of DUI, and 3 years before that, he allegedly shoved an assistant director, Ian Wolfe, during a late night location scene. That led to the studio ordering Gibson to take 8 hours of anger management. According to most people on the set, Thomas was a wild card. Some days he was friendly and accommodating, and the next he went ballistic. Number 10. Tom Hardy versus Charlize Theron. Mad Max Fury Road is a forgotten gem in cinema history. It featured little to no CGI despite having some insane visuals, and it also featured some stellar performances from its cast, including Nicholas Hoult, Charlize Theron, and Tom Hardy. Charlize and Tom played the main characters, Furiosa and Max, and while their on-screen characters ended up working together in the end, on set there was a very different vibe. Tom had a bad habit of showing up late all the time. Meanwhile, Charlize was a brand new mother who would be there on time every day while her kids were forced to be taken care of by someone else. In a book called Blood, Sweat, and Chrome, The Wild and True Story of Mad Max Fury Road, writer Kyle Buchanan shared an instance on set between Charlize and Tom. Everyone was on set at 8 AM ready to shoot except for Mr. Hardy. But to make a point, Charlize took her place and stayed there until Tom showed up. 3 hours later, she didn't move a muscle, and according to the crew, she was beyond furious. When Tom finally showed up, she asked him how he could be so disrespectful and said that they should fine this C next Tuesday $100,000 for every minute that he's held up the crew. Yeah, she didn't say see you next Tuesday, but the word she did say set Tom off. He rushed up to her and pulled out the whole "what'd you say to me?" thing, you know, like, oh, a big tough guy, I can't hear anything. Overall, Charlize felt very threatened by Tom and had to have an assistant follow her around on set as a buffer between the two. When the shoot wrapped, the tension was gone and things seemed to have gotten better, but the difficult shoot combined with the stress of the project is most likely the reason that there was never a Mad Max 2. Number 9. Ryan Gosling versus Rachel McAdams. The Notebook is considered to be one of the greatest romantic movies ever made in Hollywood. Oddly enough, the on-screen couple did not get along at all during the shoot. They would constantly fight on set and seemed to have completely different ideas on how several scenes should be played out. One day in particular was pretty exciting for anyone who wasn't involved, you know, drama watchers who were sipping their tea. Ryan called over the director and demanded that Rachel be replaced by another actress to read her lines with him. In front of 150 crew members, he claimed that Rachel wasn't giving him anything to work with, and the two would constantly yell on set. Their toxic on-set feud somehow morphed into a toxic relationship that lasted for 2 years. Anyone who worked on the set blames them for constant schedule setbacks and creating just an overall difficult work environment. Number 8. LL Cool J versus Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx has been a huge star in the world of Hollywood over the years, working with several acclaimed directors in every genre under the sun, but like most actors, Jamie had to start somewhere, and that somewhere was in the film Any Given Sunday from 1999, alongside Al Pacino, Cameron Diaz, Dennis Quaid, and of course, LL Cool J. Cool J and Jamie played teammates in the football-centric flick, and not only do their characters constantly fight on screen, but behind the scenes they had an actual brawl that ended in Miami County Police being called in. During one scene, the two were scripted to fight and filmed the first 2 takes as planned. However, some offset beef made its way in front of the camera when Jamie struck Cool J for real, splitting his lip open, and an all-out beatdown took place, leaving Jamie unconscious and in the hospital. They had to stop production because they weren't sure when Jamie would actually be able to return and film his scenes. When Fox did return to the set, it was with a small crew of friends and his manager. Waiting to greet them was LL Cool J and half of Brooklyn, according to the director, who stated that the tension was only settled after the real-life football players that the characters were based on came on set to defuse the situation. Number 7. Ryan Reynolds versus Wesley Snipes. Ryan Reynolds is known for many things. He's got his toe dipped into the world of adult beverages, wireless cell phone coverage, and he's even a soccer coach. Or football for our friends in the UK. One of his most iconic roles as an actor is of course the Merc with the Mouth, Mr. Deadpool himself. However, in 2004, Ryan was a part of a different Marvel movie. As some may know, the original Marvel movie that started this whole live-action comic trend was the Blade trilogy. starring Wesley Snipes as the titular vampire hunter. By the time the third movie of the franchise rolled around, Wesley Snipes was just kinda done with working on set. He hated the way the franchise was turning out, and all of his creative suggestions were quickly shut down. His main problem was the fact that Blade Trinity was written as like a straight up comedy movie when the previous entries were more dark, action-based movies, filled with gore and some pretty stellar fight sequences. So when Van Wilder was cast to be his co-star, he kinda gave up. He famously refused to film several scenes unless he was allowed to wear his shades on set. Apparently he was like micro-napping during takes, because he just didn't care anymore. Ryan played a big part in his difficulty enjoying the shoot. Apparently he made it his mission to make Wesley snap. He'd constantly do bids, push things too far, and just the general Ryan Reynolds chaos that we're all used to at this point. At the end of the day, Blade Trinity ended up burying the franchise and was one of the most chaotic and toxic films ever made in 2004. Ooh, number 6. Vin Diesel versus The Rock. Remember everybody, family. That's it. That's my intro. Dwayne and Vin Diesel met on set of the 5th Fast and Furious movie, Fast 5. Very creative title. This was Vin Diesel's 5th movie, but it was Dwayne's first, not just in the franchise, but in the acting world in general. At first, everything seemed to be okay with these guys on set. Fast 5 made a lot of money, and they asked Dwayne to return for a 6 and 7. However, something changed in 2016 when in a now deleted post Dwayne called one of his fellow Cast 7 co-stars a candied bum bum. He didn't say bum bum, but I'm not allowed to say that real word on the internet, so I must speak like a toddler. He actually said a word that rhymes with grass. Rumors began to fly that this was more than likely referring to Vin Diesel. Rumors proven only a week after that post was made. Following the premiere of Fate of the Furious, Johnson posted on Instagram thanking all of his fellow cast members by name, but he left Vin out of the equation. It was later confirmed by Fast and Furious co-star Michelle Rodriguez that there was a massive amount of tension on set of the film. They were bros at first, but as the time went on and the franchise evolved, so did their egos. They fought constantly over who should receive the most screen time and who was the real lead of the franchise. You know, toxic masculinity and all that. To keep both actors happy, Johnson was given a spin-off in which he co-starred as the lead alongside Jason Statham, and Vin Diesel was left right where he belongs, with his family. I know it's a bad impression, but it's a fun word to say in his voice. Number 5. Bill Murray versus Lucy Liu. Does anybody else just get the most hardcore Charlie's Angels flashbacks when they see these two together? No? Fair. Sony's first foray into the world of Charlie's Angels was a massive success when it was released, starring Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu as the titular angels. The movie was filled with action, a little bit of comedy, and one of the strangest performances ever delivered by Crispin Glover. Seriously, that guy needs help. One interesting addition to the cast was the inclusion of Ghostbusters alumni Bill Murray as the man behind the microphone, Mr. Bosley. Apparently, the set was anything but a comedy after Bill found out a scene had been rewritten without his knowledge. In an interview with the news outlet Deadline, Lucy Liu spoke up about her time on set and the situation surrounding Bill's outburst. Apparently, Bill was away for a family event when a scene needed to be reshot for the movie, but instead of using a stand-in, it was decided that the scene could be filmed without Murray's character being involved, so it went on without him. When he returned to find that the change had been made while he was gone, he was furious and reportedly shouted at half of the crew, including Lucy herself. At first, she wasn't sure why he was aiming his comments at her. She didn't write the scene, she wasn't the director, so she asked if Bill was talking to her specifically, which apparently sent him into a full-blown meltdown. She decided to speak out on Bill's behavior on set, and he was ultimately written out of the sequel. Lucy is proud for speaking her mind despite being a relatively unknown actor at the time, and is very glad that Bill's career seems to have suffered for it, because Lucy was just the first of many celebrities to comment on his behavior. We'll save that for another time.
At number 5, we have Robin Thicke and the mess that was Blurred Lines. 2013 seems to be the year of all controversies because in this case, Robin found himself tangled in a huge web of online backlash due to his music video being deemed misogynistic and overly sexual in regards to the women featured in it. Then, as if things couldn't get any worse, here came Miley Cyrus and Robin's 30th MTV VMAs performance back in 2013. This track both made and broke Robin's career because his popularity flew off the rails when the racy, legendary, viral, and widely criticized performance went on to be plagued as far too raunchy and overall unsettling for viewers to watch. Since then, Robin's re-emerged into Hollywood as a judge on The Masked Singer, but Hollywood has pretty much already cancelled the guy. Therefore, they may as well just ban him from live TV while they're at it. But what do you guys think? At number 4, we have Kathy Lee Gifford and her horribly embarrassing trip up on her show in 2012. This experience of public shame stemmed from Martin Short's appearance from Madagascar 3 Promotions, where during the interview, Kathy hassled him with loads of seemingly harmless questions about his marriage to his wife Nancy Dolman, except for the fact that she was clearly unaware that Nancy had passed away almost 2 years prior because of cancer. Kathy continued to sail praises for Martin and his late wife, not picking up on the social cues of how uncomfortable Martin seemed to be speaking about the topic. Martin informed Kathy of his former wife's passing during the commercial break and made sure not to expose her unawareness to embarrass her any further. He also publicly accepted her apology, and his professionalism in handling the situation was praised by many, whereas Kathy rightfully caught the short end of the brutal netizen comment train after broadcasting. This slip-up didn't exactly exile her TV career entirely, as she remained a talk show host for Today until 2019, but it definitely tarnished her reputation and caused severe damage to how the world perceived her as a host. I mean, if you can't be bothered to do your research before your guest comes on live television, you may as well be banned from hosting live shows, period. At number 3, we have the Queen of Pop, Mariah Carey. Now, I may be cancelled for this one, but hear me out. I know it's next to impossible to end a legend like Mariah, but she nearly did this herself during her performance on Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest back in 2016. Mariah's earpiece malfunctioned, which caused her to fall out of timing with the backtrack of music, but she handled the mistake super unprofessionally, which further pushed netizens' points of Mariah being a washed-up diva who needs to stop performing. There were loads of passive-aggressive comments from the singer while she sauntered around on stage complaining about the lack of sound check, rather than continue like a professionally trained artist. Her backup dancers outshined her as they continued to dance as if nothing ever happened, while Mariah just kept pouting. This for sure tarnished her reputation to be taken seriously in the industry, but definitely didn't break it, as I'm not quite sure how that would ever be possible. I think our Queen of Pop should definitely stick to pre-recorded performances from here on out though. Matter of fact, we should start a petition to ban her from ever committing to live performances again. At number 2, we have the infamous Taylor Swift vs Kanye West VMA's 2009 incident. The rapper was seen storming onto stage mid-show to seek justice for his good friend and other musician Beyonce, who he felt should have received the award in place of Taylor for Best Female Video, where both ladies were nominated. Fans could see Taylor trying to maintain a level head as soon as West departed the stage, but Taylor later used this dramatic string of events for inspiration in more than one of her next songs, which is basically her whole brand as an artist. Kanye eventually apologized in 2009 during a Jay Leno interview, but still, with all his recent outbursts lately, I personally don't feel as if Kanye should be asked to appear on any live TV shows for a long time. At number 1, we have the lip-syncing queen, Ashley Simpson. She was caught not singing live on Saturday Night Live, where a different song than the one she was originally supposed to perform began playing, and what sounded like Ashley's voice, even though her mic was nowhere near her mouth. Lip-syncing on SNL is deemed a huge no-no, so you can imagine how awkward it was to watch Ashley somberly walk off stage seconds after the music started. To say the least, the way things were handled were super embarrassing, and Ashley continuously blamed it on multiple things and people. Her latest reasoning was on the Andy Cohen show, where she explained how she allegedly woke up with vocal nodes stacked in her throat and should have declined performing at the time. Of course, mistakes happen, but still, when it's one this big, the only thing I can say is Ashley will never be able to perform on live TV the same again.
Starting this list off at number 10 is Brandy. We have seen celebrities fake relationships in the past as a publicity stunt, but this one was one that just went too far. The singer and actress announced back in 2002 that she had gotten secretly married to a music producer, Robert Smith. She said they had a private wedding and kept it small. The relationship went on to be featured in Diary Presents Brandy, Special Delivery, which documented the birth of their daughter. Everything seemed to be genuine and normal, but in 2004 the truth came out and it was revealed that the two of them had split. Brandy went on the Oprah show and revealed that they had never actually been married in the first place and said that they lied. She was 6 months pregnant when she had gotten married, and she only lied about it because she didn't want people to judge her for having a child without being married. She ended up using her Oprah interview to issue a public apology. Is that forgivable? I mean, I don't care. What difference does it make? But I guess in the special, the show she had, it was all about their marriage and like baby, and it's like, you're not even married. Up next, number 9 is Jussie Smollett. His big lie was one of the biggest scandals in Hollywood in 2019, and it is still ongoing. Back in January of 2019, news articles started flooding with headlines that Jussie was involved in a hate crime after being attacked by 2 men. The reports claim that he was attacked with a rope around his neck and that they poured chemicals on him while yelling homophobic slurs. The two suspects were arrested, but in court they revealed that it was all set up by Jussie and showed a check that he had paid them to stage the entire thing. On February 21st, he was arrested on suspicion of filing a false police report and was charged with 6 counts of lying to police, all of which he pleaded not guilty to. But prosecutors ended up dropping all the charges. However, the Chicago police argued that he got away with it because of his celebrity status, so an investigation was opened and he is now set to head to trial. As of right now, at the time of this recording, reports say his lawyers have been given an additional 2 weeks to prepare their arguments. The tea. Swiping the number 8 spot is the White Stripes. Jack and Meg White were adored as band members in the famous rock band, but people thought they were siblings because that's what they told everyone. Turns out that is not true at all, and they were actually once married. A marriage license surfaced online revealing they were married from 1996 to 2000. At first, the two of them denied the license was real and kept the whole sibling story, but then it was revealed to be real. Seems like a strange thing to lie about, in my opinion, right? Apparently the reason they lied is because they didn't think they would be taken seriously as musicians if they were a couple in the band, so they just told people that they were siblings and stuck to it. But how awkward would that have been if someone caught a picture or something of them kissing or holding hands or something? I don't know, I felt like that's so risky. Moving on to number 7, we have Kim Kardashian. She has been called out on numerous occasions for photoshopping her pictures, but it seems she took things a little too far in her latest Skims campaign. She released her ad for her shapewear brand Skims, and Kim can be seen drawing a finger over her hips and down into the dip of her waist. But as her finger trails down, it distorts and squiggles across the curve of her body. Immediately, people started calling her out, saying that there was a huge Photoshop fail and that it was very obvious, and questioned how she's selling a shapewear brand if she's going to sell it by photoshopping her body. Kim personally avoided the whole scandal like the plague, but her team removed the ad campaign and released a statement saying it was, I quote, an error as a result of the video losing its quality during the uploading process. No one bought that excuse, which was a straight up lie, because I work in film and I've had videos edited and I've edited videos and I've exported them, and that does not happen, even in the quality of the processing. Come on now. It didn't glitch anywhere else, just when she did it on her waist, y'all.
Number 10, Courtney Cox. If you take a look at photos of the Friends star from back in the 90s compared to now, it's easy to see that she has undergone a whole range of different procedures. But unlike most celebrities, Courtney Cox has been completely open about all the procedures that she's had done. The 58-year-old star confessed that she thought she'd gone too far at one point and said, "You have no idea because it's gradual until you go, oh, this doesn't look right, and it's worse in pictures than in real life," telling New Beauty magazine in 2017 that she gradually became addicted to surgery and was taking advice from all the wrong people. Quote, "Well, what would end up happening is that you go to a doctor who would say, you look great, but what would really help is a little injection here or filler there." She said she didn't realize how she looked until her friend looked at her face and said, "Whoa, no more." So it clearly took her a while. If you're loving this video so far, please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 9, Lil Kim. The rapper is undoubtedly one of the brightest and most influential women in hip hop, yet her legacy remains controversial for one reason or another. But the Lil Kim now looks nothing like the one we came to know and love in the 90s. The rapper underwent drastic cosmetic surgery procedures that ended up making her look like an entirely different person. As the years went by, Lil Kim began appearing on red carpets and in interviews with lighter skin, higher cheeks, a smaller nose, and additional drastic alterations. Her transformation was so drastic that it truly horrified her loyal fans, and unfortunately her career has suffered greatly because of it too. But there's a tragic reason behind her decision to keep going under the knife. The rapper developed a complex about her appearance thanks to a string of cruel boyfriends. She said, "All my life, men have told me I wasn't pretty enough. Even the men I was dating, I'd be like, well, what are you doing with me then?" She told Newsweek that when men were unfaithful to her with women who looked nothing like her, it made her want to change the way that she looked. Number 8, Christina Aguilera. The singer has come a long way since her Disney days with Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears. After establishing herself as the voice of a generation, she also tried her hand at acting and gave us movies like Burlesque starring alongside Cher. But recently her comeback had fans talking about her changing face. In 2017, many noticed that Christina had plumper lips during her tribute performance to Whitney Houston at that year's AMAs. According to experts, she has had some work done to her face. There's been speculations about Botox, lip and cheek fillers, and jaw contouring. Despite the did she or didn't she do it debate, Christina has denied going under the knife. Instead, she revealed in a secret interview that she just loves to experiment with her makeup looks. She told Paper Magazine, "I mean, I'm a girl that likes a beat face, let's not get it twisted." So her fuller appearance could really be down to anything, or just the fact that it's perfectly natural for someone's appearance to change over the years. Number 7. JoJo Siwa. You don't have to be a loyal fan of JoJo to know that she has a signature look. Ever since the teen superstar first rose to fame, she's been known for rocking oversized bows and her signature high ponytail. In fact, her sense of style is so popular that she even sells her own line of bows that often sells out in stores. But fans were pretty shocked when the 19-year-old revealed that she had cut her hair very short and even given herself a mullet. Speaking in an interview for Instagram and Facebook's Creator Week, JoJo said, "I just had my 18th birthday, and it was right around my birthday that I realized I kinda wanna do my hair different today. It just felt like the right time to do something different and a little bit more mature or a little upgrade." The new 80s look is also a pretty good indicator that the singer wants to shed her Disney-fied image into something edgier and more age-appropriate, since she'll be entering her 20s soon enough. Number 6. Noah Cyrus. Her big sister Miley is certainly the most famous member of the A-list family, but Noah has really started to make a name for herself in the music industry in recent years. While there's no denying that Noah has changed quite a bit since she arrived on the scene, many fans have speculated that her changing look is a result of more than just puberty, and instead they think that she may have gone under the knife. The plastic surgery rumors began to circulate after photos of her with plumped lips and high-raised eyebrows surfaced on Instagram in 2020. If you look at old photos of the singer and compare it to her appearance this year, you can actually tell that she has a significantly increased facial volumes in her cheeks, lips, and chin. Not only that, but her eyebrows appear to be higher. The 22-year-old hasn't said anything about it yet, but many people still believe her dramatic facial changes aren't entirely natural. Number 5. Kelly Osbourne. The singer has undergone a major transformation in recent years. She's ditched the shaved hair and goth makeup, and she's lost almost 40 kilograms. Kelly has been very open about her changing look, and said that she underwent gastric sleeve weight loss surgery in 2018. She went on the Hollywood Raw podcast in 2020 and described it as being the best thing that she has ever done. The surgery is quite a drastic one, as it removes 75 to 80% of the stomach. While she has been very vocal about her decision, she said that it's far from a quick fix and actually requires a complete change in lifestyle. But after losing the weight, Kelly said that she realized she was resentful of Hollywood. Quote, "Now in retrospect, I know exactly who I'll work with and who I won't, because I know who called me fat. I know who didn't want to work with me because of that. I take that and I put it into my memory bank. I remember what you said about me, and that's the best revenge." Number 4. Meg Ryan. After stealing audiences' hearts with her legendary rom-com roles, Meg Ryan's face would change beyond recognition in the early 2000s, when she underwent several cosmetic procedures to change her look entirely. When Meg attended the Tony Awards in 2016, she looked completely different. So the audience couldn't help but speculate that she has had plastic surgery and that she might have overdone it a little bit. Many cosmetic surgeons were quick to give their opinion on which procedures she might have had done, and they said that the most evident thing that she's done to her cheek was some form of filler or fat transfer, and the general consensus is that the procedure wasn't done properly, as the volume of filler could have been positioned more laterally to give her a softer appearance. There's also been speculation that she's had rhinoplasty done, as the tip of her nose is narrower than before and looks a little bit more pinched. But realistically, no one can really pinpoint the exact reason why she looks so unrecognizable these days, so up until now it's all just speculation. Number 3. Renee Zellweger. The actress stepped out on the red carpet in 2014 with a changed appearance, and it set the rumor mill abuzz. Photos from the event went viral around the world in a matter of hours, causing a huge social media frenzy. Both fans and critics felt Renee looked completely different than the Bridget Jones we all remember from the late 90s and early 2000s. She faced immense backlash for having Botox injections and a possible facelift, as many people noticed that she no longer had her signature almond-shaped eyes. Renee told People magazine, "I'm glad folks think I look different. I'm living a very different, happy, and more fulfilling life, and I'm thrilled that perhaps it shows." But the change in her appearance could also be completely natural, as she was away from the spotlight from 2010 to 2016 and only returned for her new movie Bridget Jones's Baby. It's also very common for actresses who are typically typecast into certain roles to adjust their look as they age, because they want to be considered for a plethora plethora of different parts. Number 2. Jennifer Grey. After being catapulted to mega fame in 1987 for playing Baby in Dirty Dancing, Jennifer's career stalled, and although she was personally happy with her nose and its distinct bump, she underwent plastic surgery at the age of 29 to boost her career and gain more acting roles. She told the Mirror in 2012 that it was the nose job from hell. Quote, "I went into the operating room a celebrity and came out anonymous. After the first surgery, she was thrilled with the way that she looked. Then less than a year later, she noticed that a tiny bit of cartilage was visible under the surface of her nose. Jennifer then underwent a second surgery to correct the issue, but when she woke up, she discovered that she no longer looked like herself at all. It completely changed her. She was still beautiful, of course, but after that she became totally unrecognizable from her Dirty Dancing days and lost one of her most unique features." And coming in at number 1, Katie Price. Since becoming a household name as a glamour model in the 90s, Katie Price's brand has become synonymous with plastic surgery, but she has always been very honest about the work that she's had done, like the fact that she's had 12 breast augmentations over the last 25 years, and got the first one when she was only 18 years old. She's also had veneers done, and in June last year, Katie endured one of her most ambitious rounds of surgery yet, as she underwent another facelift on the same day that she also treated herself to liposuction and fat injections on her bum. The TV personality is also a big fan of Botox and has gone under the knife for an eye and brow lift that left her face with a sharp, tight look. Plastic surgery has become her brand at this point, and Katie herself has said many times that she has no plan to stop going under the knife. But just by looking at old pictures, it's easy to see that she looked like a completely different person before she had all the work done.
Number 4. Will Smith versus Janet Hubert. Will Smith got his big break in the acting world thanks to his successful time on the hit sitcom Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The show followed Will as the titular prince, living with his wealthy family in Bel-Air, surrounded by cousins, uncles, and of course, Aunt Viv. In season 1, Aunt Viv was played by a woman named Janet Hubert Whitten, who, as many know, was recasted after an on-set feud with Will Smith just went a little bit too far. According to Will, Janet viewed him as the antagonist of her life. She had been in the business for years when suddenly this man popped into her life, and she held a tinge of jealousy towards Will as he just walked into town and he got a gig. Well, that's what happens when you're good at your job, Janet. She was trying to convince the producers to give her character more screen time and allow her to breathe on camera, but they said no because it was not the Aunt Viv show. She fought back hard, but it was ultimately decided that she would be asked to sit out for the rest of the series and be replaced by Daphne Maxwell Reid, who is the Aunt Viv that everybody knows and loves. Number 3. Tom Hardy versus Shia LaBeouf. Making a return on this list is Mr. Tom Hardy, but this time it's with Shia. This was an on-set feud that was innocent from the perspective of the actors, but not the people who were making their movie. In 2012, Shia and Tom starred in a period piece crime drama called Lawless. It was a pretty solid movie featuring stellar performances from both of its leading men. In 2019, on an episode of the popular talk show Hot Ones, Shia addressed the rumors that he had knocked out his on-screen partner Tom during the shoot. According to Shia, the two were closer than people think and acted more like college buddies than enemies. Shia claims that the two would wrestle a lot on set and that it would sometimes distract people from their work. The rumor that he knocked Tom out was actually started by Tom after he fell down the stairs one night, and apparently he was getting ready for his role as Bane in Christopher Nolan's third Batman movie at the time, and Shia claims that the main reason he wanted people to think he was in a fight was, again, big tough guy. Their feud may have been innocent between themselves, but to everyone on the outside, Tom Hardy was about to pile drive Shia LaBeouf every 5 minutes. Number 2. Ray Fisher versus Joss Whedon. Ray played a major role in the 2017 DC movie Justice League as Cyborg. Not only was this the first live-action iteration of the character for film, but he was also the first black superhero in a leading role in DC. According to Fisher, he was mindful of this and he delivered the best performance that he could, and honestly, it was a great performance. There have been way worse actors involved with DC, and Cyborg was one of the best parts of the 2017 version. Now, I keep saying that because, as some may not know, the original director of the movie, Zack Snyder, was forced to drop out of the shoot midway through production due to a personal tragedy. The studio decided to bring in Avengers director Joss Whedon to finish the project, and at first he was just supposed to direct the movie, but he ended up rewriting most of the script and reshooting several of the scenes already finished by Zack. This is where the tension started. Joss did not appreciate any outside input on his script, script, and Ray was a very vocal performer who wanted to stick to the original vision that Zack Snyder had. A vision that we actually got to see in 2021 thanks to the Snyder cut of the film being released. It's 2 more hours, but it's way better. Ray claimed that Joss was not only dismissive towards his ideas, but that he was an absolute monster to work with. Following the release of the film, Fisher voiced his complaints to DC and Warner Brothers, who opened a brief investigation into the situation, but quickly dismissed the case, claiming that there was insufficient evidence to prove he was telling the truth. Thankfully, several of his co-stars and crew members backed up those claims that Joss was a very angry, racist, and just manipulative boss, creating an extremely toxic environment on set. The backlash from fans, combined with the hashtag Snyder Cut, allowed Warner Brothers to finish Zack's original vision for the project and release a 4-hour Snyder Cut in 2021. Not only is Cyborg's storyline much better in this version, but the project overall is considered to be one of the best DC movies ever made. And at number 1, James Franco versus Tyrese Gibson. So this feud was brought to my attention by a fellow host here at the studio, and I had never actually heard of this movie before today, but once I found out it was between James Franco and Tyrese, we had to include it on this list. These two start opposite each other in a 2005 dramatic piece called Annapolis. The story follows Franco's character wanting to attend the titular Naval Academy and entering into a boxing tournament against some of the Navy's best and brightest. His main opponent is Tyrese Gibson. Throughout the majority of the filming, James and Tyrese would regularly practice the choreography for the final fight of the film. Now, method acting is one thing, when you just pretend to be someone else all the time and that's it. But it's different when you're literally punching your co-star for real. Instead of the normal film choreography allowing actors to fake hit each other, Franco was throwing real punches without warning. Gibson tried to be civil at first and asked him to lighten up. Franco ignored him and just continued to box his heart out. When asked about the incident in interviews, Franco defended himself by saying that he was aware that he made the set difficult at times, and claimed to be so wrapped up in his role that he probably wasn't as friendly as he could be. Gibson, however, holds a massive grudge towards Franco, claiming that he would never step foot in the same room as this man ever again. Good news for Tyrese, James got cancelled and Fast 11's coming soon.
At number 10 we have Christian Bale. Christian is a versatile actor physically and skill-wise. He's able to shrink and grow his physique seemingly at will. He's played everything from a skinny substance addict to Batman. In 2008, Christian starred in the 3rd film of the Terminator franchise, Terminator Salvation, and while he was filming, a scene director of photography, Shane Hurlbut, apparently moved into Christian's eyesight. This caused Christian to snap out of character and into defense mode. The now infamous audio clip of Christian screaming at Shane. To make matters worse, anyone trying to calm Christian down were met with an equally swift verbal lashing. While the cinematographer was just checking a light to make sure it was in the right place, aka doing his job, Bale made it his mission to share his intense feelings with the entire crew. When the audio leaked, Bale apologized for his actions and told the world to praise the crew for their work. While the movie turned out okay, visually speaking, the project as a whole is remembered as the worst entry in the Terminator franchise to date. At number 9 we have Joaquin Phoenix. We understand a dedication to one's craft, and Joaquin Phoenix is a prime example. Joaquin's acting career has been going steady since he first appeared in the 1989 comedy Parenthood when he was in his mid-teens. While he's seen as one of the greatest actors in recent history, his reputation on set has been tarnished thanks to a little freakout while filming the 2018 solo flick Joker. He appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live to promote the shoot when Jimmy played a behind-the-scenes clip of Joaquin getting loud and angry at a man named Larry and the constant whispering behind the cameras before dropping a few F-bombs and storming off set. When the cameras came back to the studio, Joaquin was frozen in shock, clearly not expecting the clip to ever see the light of day. He explained that Larry was a cinematographer who had teased Joaquin off set earlier that day, calling him a diva. He then explained that there's a lot of pressure on set, especially in a closed space like the apartment from the scene. He apologized to the audience for having to see him behave in such a manner, which was met with applause. At the end of the day, he's a performer and no harm came from the outburst. If Larry's cool with it, so are we. At number 8 we have Ewan McGregor. The last thing any actor needs while filming on location is something from the paparazzi coming up and demanding their attention. One such incident took place with Obi-Wan Kenobi himself. Ewan was on location in New York filming a scene for the Netflix series Halston when he was spotted approaching photographer Steve Sands for being too chatty during a take. McGregor then let out some choice words before snapping back into character and filming a scene with a co-star Kelly Bishop. Not only did nobody on set blame him at all, the cameraman actually apologized and they were able to laugh the whole thing off. I've seen
what this guy can do with a lightsaber, and none of us should be getting on his bad side. At number 7 we have Tom Cruise. Now we know Tom Cruise is insane, there's no denying that, and he may be one of Hollywood's biggest and brightest in his early days, but his career and skills as an actor have been slowly going downhill since he divorced Katie Holmes. To prove his insanity and rage, let's talk about an incident that occurred on his last Mission Impossible movie, an audio clip that was released of Cruise berating several crew members with intense anger. The crew in question were accused of not following safety protocols that were in place at the time. In the rant, Tom was heard swearing and screaming about the rules and how if he wants something to happen, it will happen. The crew are essentially his minions who must do their master's bidding. The rant went viral when Cruise defended the rant rather than apologize for it, claiming that he said what he said and the stakes were at an all-time high. While this may have happened at a time when Hollywood was shut down and many productions were on hold, that's no excuse to harass the people trying to make you look good. At number 6 we have Clayne Crawford. When actors portray their best friends on screen, you expect the friendship to seep through them in real life, right? Well, wrong. Clayne Crawford and comedian Damon Wayans started working together on a series remake of the hit action film franchise Lethal Weapon in 2016, and the show was well received. The pair seemed to have good chemistry on camera and made us want to see more of their friendship. Behind the scenes, however, these two could not stand each other. The set was plagued with multiple altercations that bogged down production to the point where Clayne's character was written out of the show and replaced with Dukes of Hazzard star Seann William Scott. Following the recasting announcement on set, audio was leaked of the pair bickering like an old married couple just moments before snapping into character for their scene. The clip clearly shows Clayne trying to egg Damon on, and this clip was recorded only a few days following a stunt gone wrong Clayne directed and that left Damon with a nasty head wound. The show did great without him, but was cancelled after only 4 short seasons. We need more of Seann William Scott in the world, bring it back.
Cruising into number 6, we have Lance Armstrong. The wildly successful athlete was caught in the most sophisticated and successful doping program the sport has ever seen, according to the US Anti-Doping Agency. People were shocked when the news first broke, but he later admitted it during his interview with Oprah that he in fact had been taking substances. But there was much more to it than just him taking them. He was involved in a professional doping program. He was stripped from his cycling titles and dropped by all of his sponsors, including Nike Inc. and Livestrong, and he was also banned from professional cycling races altogether. He ended up reaching a $5 million settlement with the government, but his career has never been the same since. In 2020 though, fans got to learn a lot more about the situation when a documentary called Lance came out, so if you're wanting to learn more on his career, the scandal, everything, go check that out. I've been intrigued. I have not because I'm busy, but I have been interested. Halfway through our countdown at number 5, we have Kylie Jenner. Back in 2017, people were going crazy online about the rumors that Kylie was pregnant. Fans started speculating online and doing a deep dive on all her posts trying to prove that she was pregnant. Even paparazzi were doing all they could to get a photo that proved it, but she and her family kept denying it in all of their interviews. After she finally revealed the truth to the world, she explained that she lied about it because this was the one thing she wanted to not share with the world. Even her producers who filmed Keeping Up with the Kardashians with her said she hid it from them during filming her Life of Kylie season. But Kylie recently announced she is pregnant with her second child, and she is sharing this pregnancy with the world this time. You can't hide anything from fans. Or paparazzi. They always find out. In spot number 4, we have Brian Williams. The journalist, who is the father to actress Allison Williams, repeatedly told a story that claimed while he was on a reporting trip to Iraq in 2003, he was riding in a helicopter that came under fire and had to do an emergency landing. The story was believed every time he told it, until soldiers who were actually in the helicopter he was referring to came forward and told the truth. They revealed that Brian was not actually in the helicopter with them and said that he and his crew had actually arrived on scene about an hour after the helicopter performed its landing, which is obviously a very different story than the one that he was telling people. After being caught in the lie, he immediately apologized and claimed that he must have made a mistake and gotten his memories of the day mixed up. How do you? Come on. Oh, I just thought I remembered I was on this plane that went into flames. Like, give me a break, people. Taking over the 3rd spot is Ed Sheeran. Now, this one isn't as serious as the last one, but it is very funny. Back in 2016, he was sporting a new look that involved a cut on his face. When asked what had happened, he claimed it happened at a party with James Blunt and Princess Beatrice. Apparently, James jokingly asked Beatrice to knight him, and when she grabbed the ceremonial sword, she accidentally cut his face in the process. It seemed like a very random and strange story, but people believed it because, hey, weird stuff happens at parties all the time, especially when there's alcohol involved. But a year later, James spilled the beans about what really went down and admitted that the whole story that Ed told was a lie. Turns out Ed was just drunk and he was messing around and accidentally cut himself. He said that they thought it'd be really funny to make up this crazy fancy story, and then when people actually fell for it, they just stuck to it. And if you're wondering, Princess Beatrice had nothing to do with it, she was just randomly thrown into that story. Sniping number 2 spot is Rebel Wilson. While I'm sure a lot of people would like to lie about their age, I know I would, you can't really do that when working in the acting industry. In 2015, an Australian magazine called Women's Day published an article that called out Rebel for apparently lying about her age, name, and certain claims about her upbringing. Her initial age was believed to be 29 years old at the time, but the magazine revealed she was actually 35. Also, her birth name is Melanie Elizabeth Bounds, and she apparently did not have the upbringing that she has talked about in interviews. Now, Rebel never admitted to lying, she actually did the opposite. She filed a lawsuit against various publications because many media outlets also claimed that her real age was 35. She never fought against the claims being true or not, but she said that painting her as a liar had affected her career and ability to land roles. Earning our number 1 place is Martha Stewart. I'm sure we were all equally as shocked when news broke in December 2001 that she was allegedly involved in an insider trading scandal. Insider trading is where an individual buys or sells stocks that they have in a company using information that is not available to the public. That is what Google told me anyways. Don't quote me. An investigation was launched after she had denied being involved in anything, but it turns out that she was lying. She repeatedly denied doing any wrongdoing, claiming that she had an agreement with her broker to sell the shares if they went below a certain price, but that was proved to not be true. Martha ended up getting charged with security fraud, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy. She was sentenced to 5 months in jail and 5 months of house arrest after that, and 2 years probation, and later had to pay $195,000 to settle a civil case with the Security and Exchange Commission.
So coming up first on the list, we have the NDAs. Now, confidentiality agreements are not uncommon in the world of Hollywood. Now, over 500 of Oprah's staff members were forced to sign the document, and one former employee, Elizabeth Cody, tried to write a book about her time working for Oprah, but she was apparently stopped by the courts as she was still tied to the agreement that she signed. The NDAs were not meant to be a way to keep just show secrets safe, but to keep any and all of Oprah's personal secrets safe as well. Now, according to Elizabeth, the document was signed by almost everyone in her life, on and even off of set. It's said that she may have this look of sweetness and kindness, but that's not how she is at all. Elizabeth felt that she was in Oprah's pocket after she signed the paperwork. Then in 2010, a lawsuit was filed against Oprah and her company after Unicus Performance Training claimed that they were fired for violating the terms of her agreement, specifically involving advertising with her name or the website of the show. Now up next, we have her stepmom exposing her. Now on air, Oprah is portrayed as a wholesome, sweet lady, but according to her stepmom, there is an unknown side to Oprah, hidden from fans for years. Now according to Barbara, who is her stepmom, Oprah may be one of the most controlling people you will ever meet in your entire life. She claims that Oprah would not allow them to stay at her house when they tried to visit, forcing them to stay in hotels with money out of their own pocket. Barbara also said that Oprah was quick to anger when it came to her staff, with several people being fired and left and right over the years, but couldn't come out about the situation because of the NDAs. But that's not all. Despite being a billionaire, Barbara allows Oprah to stay at her house for visits, something that Oprah actually hated. The first time she stayed over, Oprah allegedly complained that her bed sheets were not 1,000 threads and that her bath towels were not big enough. This woman has billions of dollars to do anything she wants, and what she wants is to make her family feel like a burden. Next up on the list, we have the supplement overload controversy. Now, Oprah has had plenty of controversial people on her show, from so-called medical experts to psychologists to celebrities. Now, whatever is good for TV is good for Oprah. Now, one particular incident that caused a ton of backlash for Oprah was when she did an interview with Suzanne Somers. Now, she was brought onto the show to share her beauty secrets on how she was able to look so young. Now, according to some, this treatment that she does on a regular basis will help, and Suzanne claimed that she rubs estrogen cream into her skin on one arm and
Spears progesterone into the other arm, and progesterone is a fancy way of saying steroids. She claimed that she took 60 supplements and vitamin A's a day, which was 40 in the morning and 20 before bed. What really stirred the pot was that this woman claimed to be a health expert and a self-author, but surprise, surprise, she actually was not. Medical experts actually started bashing Oprah, claiming that this type of extreme hormone therapy would actually be the cause of several diseases and illnesses like cancer. Now, despite Suzanne's claim that her specialty made non-FDA approved bioidenticals are natural and safe, they're actually just synthetic, conventional hormones that you can buy from a pharmacy. Now, Oprah did everything in her power to sell this idea to her audience, believing 100% that the methods were useful, even claiming that she had used the methods herself that made her feel so incredible. So this lady would rather risk her audience getting cancer than just telling the truth.
Number 10. Zac Efron. The High School Musical star really shocked fans with how different he looked in 2021 when a video surfaced online of his face looking extremely altered. When Zac appeared on camera for a virtual Earth Day event, everyone was totally distracted by his new appearance. Not only did he no longer have his iconic baby face look, but some people suggested that he had an altered jawline and enhanced lips, and suspected that he'd had, at the very least, some Botox done. It's true that he looked a little bit puffy or possibly swollen, but of course, camera angles, makeup, and poor lighting also could have contributed to the drastically different appearance. When the video started making the rounds on social media, popular TikTok surgeon Dr. Yun suggested that Zac might have gotten oral surgery, which would explain his swollen jaw, which would happen if your wisdom teeth were taken out, or you had some kind of other intensive dental surgery. But fans were not happy about the doctor's comments and accused him of trying to capitalize on Zac's popularity to gain attention. Although he does look different now, it's not necessarily a bad thing. The actor went on both The Ellen Show and Jimmy Kimmel Live recently and just looked a whole lot more mature. In fact, he seemed to have really grown into his features in the best way possible. Number 9. Khloe Kardashian. The Keeping Up with the Kardashian star is known for being the funniest and most laid back of all the sisters, but over the years, fans have seen such a drastic change in her appearance that it can only be put down to excessive plastic surgery. And while the reality star isn't too outspoken when it comes to her past procedures, she has opened up once before about the reason behind her choice to go under the knife. Quote, "For me, everyone says, oh my gosh, she's had her third face transplant, but I've only had one nose job and everyone gets so upset. Like, why don't I talk about it? No one's ever asked me." She also revealed that she has done injections, but not really Botox, because when she tried it, her face responded horribly, but all the surgery was probably because of something deeper. In fact, later in the episode, Khloe explained how she experienced body image insecurity when doing photo shoots with her sisters, saying they would receive racks and racks of clothes, and I was told by so many different stylists I was given about 2 or 3 pieces of clothing, but not to worry because I would be in the background anyway, which is pretty unfortunate because being treated like that would upset just about anybody. Number 8. Rebel Wilson. The Australian actress has been in comedy since the early 2000s, but her career really took off a decade later in movies like What to Expect When You're Expecting, Struck by Lightning, and of course Pitch Perfect. She's always been a huge health and body positive advocate and has frequently opened up about her health journey. But the reason Rebel Wilson looks so drastically different in 2022 is that she has actually been working on her health and fitness since late 2019, and she has seen massive results. In a candid interview with the BBC, she talked about the differences in how she's being treated now. Quote, "Sometimes being bigger, people don't necessarily look twice at you. Now that I'm in good shape, people offer to carry my groceries to the car and hold doors open for you. And you think, is this what other people experience all the time?" So even though Rebel seems to be a lot happier now, she's also pointed out something that's really worth discussing. Her health journey has been a very public one, so it's great that the actress has decided not to hold back when talking about all the challenges that she's faced throughout. And she's certainly become an inspiration for others to make positive changes to their health. Number 7. Miley Cyrus. The 29-year-old singer and actress has lived so many lives already. She's been a Disney star, a country singer, then she moved to R&B for a while and back into pop. Miley has always been an eccentric performer. I mean, who can forget twerking against Robin Thicke at the MTV VMAs in 2013? But her whole style and aesthetic did a complete 180 somewhere around 2020 when she started embracing all things rock and roll. These days she looks completely unrecognizable with a platinum blonde mullet, red, metallic blue smoky eyeshadow, and a blue and white striped dress. She actually looks like an 80s rock star. The aesthetic change appears to be part of her newest musical era for her newest rock album, Plastic Hearts. It's still up for debate whether Miley is going for a more grunge or glam rock, but it's clear that she's chosen a whole nother genre for herself when it comes to not only style but music. After hearing her cover of Blondie's Heart of Glass, which was released as a single in late September, it became clear to so many that her voice is really suited to rock and roll. Alongside her cover of Zombie by the Cranberries and her own song Midnight Sky, it seems like she's really grown into her voice and found the perfect look for the genre. Number 6. Adele. Ever since her music blew up in the early 2010s, the powerhouse singer has released hit after hit. Her albums 21, 25, and 30 became instant successes, with all three topping #1 on nearly every worldwide music chart. But fans were really shocked in 2020 when Adele made a post on social media that showed her completely transformed look. In fact, she joked about the change in her opening monologue for SNL, saying, "I know I look really different since you last saw me, but actually because of all the COVID restrictions, I had to travel light and I could only bring half of me, and this is the half I chose." The 34-year-old looks extremely happy these days, and she's recently opened up about the healthy lifestyle changes she made that helped her lose 100 pounds in 2 years. But she knows that plenty of negative comments have surfaced about her new look, and she told British Vogue, "My body has been objectified my entire career. It's not just now. I understand why it's a shock. I understand why some women especially were hurt. Visually, I represent a lot of women, but I'm still the same person." So it's clear that Adele is very much herself, just with a newfound confidence. Number 5. Kesha. The singer shocked fans when she debuted her glamorous and sophisticated new look at the Studio 666 premiere in Hollywood. The 34-year-old was truly unrecognizable with a dark, short bob and a plain black dress in a major style transformation from her party girl days. Kesha wore a plunging, lace-up, short, tight black leather dress that accentuated both her chest and her legs. Her brunette hair was slicked back with natural-looking makeup. The Grammy Award winner has been known to drastically alter her appearance through the years, but her new, almost bare-faced look was a complete flip from her usual bright, eccentric style with heavy makeup and her signature long, wavy blonde hair. So making the change from blonde to brunette and chopping her hair into a chin bob length made all the difference in the world. But aside from desperately waiting for Kesha to release new music, fans are also longing for the conclusion of her lengthy legal battle with her former producer Dr. Luke, which has been ongoing since 2014. The defamation lawsuit against her seems like it's gonna go on forever at this stage, and it has really kept her career in a kind of limbo. But it's clear that she's already planning some kind of a comeback with her new style. Number 4. Linda Evangelista. The Canadian fashion model was undoubtedly one of the top supermodels from the 1990s and is regarded as one of the most accomplished and influential models of all time. In fact, she's been featured on over 700 magazine covers, but Linda hasn't really been seen in public very much in the last 5 years or so, and fans recently found out why. In September last year, she took to Instagram and revealed that she had undergone cool sculpting treatment to her face, which she says left her unrecognizable, as it allegedly caused fat cells in her face to multiply. Quote, "To my followers who have wondered why I have not been working while my peers' careers have been thriving, the reason is that I was brutally disfigured." She went on to say that the procedure actually did the opposite of what it was promised. In fact, what happened to her was a rare but serious side effect of cool sculpting, and the model said the treatment not only destroyed her livelihood, but sent her into a cycle of deep depression, profound sadness, and the lowest depths of self-loathing, which is extremely sad when you consider just how much it would have affected her self-esteem. Number 3. Iggy Azalea. The Australian rapper made her US debut in 2014 with the release of her first album, The New Classic, which debuted at #1 on the Billboard rap chart. From her collaborations with some of our favorite pop princesses to her gorgeous curves, Iggy Azalea has consistently commanded headlines all over the globe. But recently, a lot of it has been plastic surgery rumors, considering how much her appearance has changed over the years. Confirming the suspicions, the Aussie hitmaker admitted that she has had rhinoplasty. She said, "I'm not denying it. Denying it is lame. I don't think you should be ashamed if you've made a change to yourself, which is why I've spoken about the changes I've made, like with my breasts." Iggy was always pretty straightforward about her decision to have surgery, saying, "Your perception of yourself can change a lot over time, so I think it's important to wait and make sure it's the right choice. Plastic surgery is an emotional journey. It's no easy feat to live with your flaws and accept yourself, and it's no easy feat to change yourself. Either way you look at it, it's a tough journey." me, which is a great message to get out there considering that there's still a lot of stigma behind just admitting to having done plastic surgery in the first place.
Number 5, we have Orson Welles. Orson was the man behind what many film schools consider the greatest piece of cinematography ever put to film, Citizen Kane. I've never seen it, so I can't comment any further. Orson did a lot of voiceover work back in the day and had one particularly terrible time trying to record a radio ad for the food company Findus in 1970. Behind the scenes, Otto shows Orson going on a rant after being asked to emphasize the words in and beef, before calling the man running the show some choice words and telling him to let Orson hear what he's supposed to sound like. He complains about the content of the script after fumbling the name of a Norwegian fisherman. He just kind of mumbles his way to the end of the script before claiming the content was unoriginal and uninspiring. The guy was reading an ad that contained the word beef. Sorry if nobody found that inspirational. At number 4, we have Casey Kasem. Casey's face is certainly one you do not know, but his voice certainly is. Casey voiced the original portrayal of the popular cartoon character Shaggy in the mystery series Scooby-Doo. During his time outside of the recording booth, Casey actually used to run a daytime radio show. The content of one broadcast in particular sparked a very heated reaction from Casey. In 1985, he was asked to read a dedication request about a fan's dog that had passed away. The dedication read, "Recently there was a passing in our family. He was a little dog named Snuggles." Casey was audibly upset as the statement was meant to follow a relatively happy song. He was sent into a tangent in which he made it clear that this kind of thing had kept happening to him for a while now, not holding back a single thought on the matter. Following the incident, the producers started to be more careful with the content they would allow Casey to read. At number 3, we have Henry Winkler. Henry Winkler, best known for his role as the Fonz on Happy Days, was set to direct Tom Hanks in his much-loved buddy cop movie Turner and Hooch. Unfortunately, these two had a pretty rough history together before that though. The Fonz had actually fought with Hanks in character on set of Happy Days for one episode a few years prior. It would appear that Tom wishes he could fight Henry for real though, as rumor has it the two of them didn't get along at all. So much so that a few days into shooting Turner and Hooch with Henry behind the wheel, Hanks ordered Winkler to be removed from set and replaced as director. That's the kind of power Tom Hanks wields. He could just walk on set and be like, no. Not only did Tom complain that Henry's behavior as director was annoying, he complained that Henry was just overall bad at his job. It would take double the average time to reset a shot on set, he had minimal control over his actors, and was apparently very frustrated with having a dog on set. Like, did he even read the script before he took the gig? The dog is a national treasure. What makes this firing even more tragic is the fact that when Winkler was delivered the news, one of the film's producers ripped Henry's contract up right in front of his face. Over the years, when asked about the incident, Henry denies that he ever had any kind of personal or professional issues with Tom, but like Tom's never given us a reason to think he would lie about something like that. What would he have to gain? At number 2, we have Eric Stoltz. Let's talk a bit about the 1985 comedy sci-fi Back to the Future. I loved this movie growing up. The story followed Marty McFly, a high school student who was accidentally sent back to 1955 in a time machine invented by his close friend and scientist Dr. Emmett Brown, played by Christopher Lloyd, and is forced to get his future parents together before he disappears from existence. Whoever pitched this movie must have been lacking sleep. The film went on to spawn 2 sequels, creating what is considered to be the greatest film trilogy of all time. While Michael J. Fox may have played the iconic Marty McFly, he was not the first actor to don the puffy vest on set. A young man named Eric Stoltz was initially cast to play the role. You may not recognize Eric's face, as his most famous character was drenched in prosthetics and makeup, playing the character of Roy L. Dennis in the film Mask as a man with several facial and skull deformities. He was nearly halfway through shooting the flick when the news came that he was going to be replaced with Michael J. Fox. Fox was the director Robert Zemeckis' first choice, but was initially unable to sign onto the project due to his prior commitment to the sitcom Family Ties. Eventually though, the two studios were able to find a way to work out his schedule and allow him to film both projects simultaneously. This is why you may notice a majority of Marty's scenes that take place outside are at night, as it was the only time he could film for a good 60% of the shoot. Robert wanted Eric out from the beginning, however his portrayal of the character was far more intense than the writers had in mind. And not to mention, Eric read the end of the movie as tragedy instead of a happy ending. Spoiler alert, at the end of the first film, Marty returns to 1985 after successfully getting his parents together, but instead of being poor and depressed, the family is now thriving and successful. Somehow Eric took this as Marty becoming an outsider in the world. His intensity combined with the depressing performance of the finale got him kicked off the shoot only minutes after Fox was available. And at number 1, we have Lindsay Lohan. She got her start acting at the age of just 3, starring in over 60 TV spots and commercials for brands like Gap, Pizza Hut, and Jell-O. She had her big break when Disney cast her to play 2 roles in the classic family comedy The Parent Trap. She played twin sisters Haley Parker and Annie James, who randomly meet at summer camp and discover their parents split them up when they were babies following a divorce. Her career only seemed to rise from there, starring in several cult classics like Freaky Friday with Jamie Lee Curtis and Mean Girl as the main character Katie Heron. Her spot on this list, however, comes from the last roles before her hiatus in the 2013 film The Canyons, starring alongside adult film star James Dean in the leading role. Her reputation was tarnished enough by 2013, but it was made even worse after an audio clip was released of Lohan berating her co-star on set for not performing a line properly. Lindsay was annoyed and took several shots at Dean, telling him to do his damn job. According to James, Lohan was aggressive towards him from the very beginning, apparently being upset that he was taking time off from adult films to attempt a career in the real world.
Starting off our list today at number 10, we have Megan Fox. Back in 2009, Megan Fox would come out to call Michael Bay out for his unprofessional behavior behind the scenes for the Transformer movie franchise, which isn't really shocking, as after they kicked Megan out of the films, they did have one of the Transformers call her an itch for no reason. In an interview with the Los Angeles Times, Megan would say Michael wanted to create this insane, infamous madman reputation, and he ultimately was a nightmare to work for. She also went on to say, but when you get him away from the set and he's not in director mode, I kind of really enjoy his personality because he's so awkward, so hopelessly awkward. He has no social skills at all. It's endearing to watch him. He's so vulnerable and fragile in real life, and then on set he's a tyrant. In response, Michael then made a letter and enlisted his crew as the people behind it on his page, where they claimed that Megan was the one who was actually really difficult to work with. Number 9. Ray Fisher. Joss Whedon has been accused multiple times on set for misconduct. In 2020, Ray Fisher, who starred in Justice League, wrote in a tweet that Joss's behavior during the filming of the movie was gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable. Not only did he use his social media, but he also used a series of interviews to bring forward some serious allegations of racist behavior and cover up at Warner Brothers. Josh, who played Cyborg in the 2017 film, is fed up with the unrelenting focus of executives at Warner Film Studios and then at its parent company Warner Media, and how they handled allegations that he and others brought to their attention. Right after Ray exposed his mistreatment, Catherine Forrest, a former federal judge who conducted the Warner Media probe, told THR in a statement that in the interviews of more than 80 witnesses, she found no credible support for claims of racism or racial insensitivity. A Warner Media spokesperson then noted that the company made extraordinary efforts to accommodate Mr. Fisher's concerns about the investigation to ensure its fullness and fairness, but the investigation definitely wasn't fair, as his allegations were truly just swept under the rug instead of being heard. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in at number 8, we have Charisma Carpenter. Showrunner, producer, and director Joss Whedon now has a long line of celebrities who have come forward to accuse him of abuse. One of the most disturbing accounts comes from former Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel star Charisma Carpenter, who played Cordelia Chase in Joss Buffy's universe. Charisma only felt inspired to speak up about the mistreatment she received after years of remaining silent because she saw the Justice League actor Ray Fisher tweet about the abusive work environment Josh allegedly fostered on the set of the film. In a statement to her Twitter account in February 2021, Charisma called Josh casually cruel while citing on-set examples like allegedly calling her fat when she was 4 months pregnant, or she was forced to report to work at 1 a.m. against medical advice. She then claimed that Josh asked her inappropriate questions about her pregnancy, and shortly after she gave birth, Josh fired her, and she would know all that promise and joy sucked right out of new motherhood. And Josh was the vampire. While he found his misconduct amusing, it only served to intensify my performance anxiety, disempower me, and alienate me from my peers.
Up next, we have her billionaire advocacy. Now, Oprah has been claiming to be many things since the Maui backlash has begun. Now, a good boss and a charitable woman and an advocate for the island of Maui. Now, by starting this fund and donating her spare millions, she had made her mark in the public as a woman who cares. So much that she is asking you to give her money. Isn't that so sweet? The main reason that people believe that Jason has not spoken on Oprah is because he knows that she is an absolute phony. So as mentioned, Oprah would not care about Maui or its people if she didn't have vested stake on the island. Now, Oprah has had property in Maui for quite some time, being almost a second home to her at times. When the fire started raging, she started fundraising. Up next, we have what the free and free really means. Now, who could forget Oprah's famous words, "You get a car"? Now, this moment was historical on her series and has been said over and over and over again. However, what almost no one knows is that it's not as simple as here, take the keys and drive away. Now, when someone gives out anything on television, there is always a catch. Now, for Oprah's audience, the catch was that if they actually wanted to drive away in their brand new car, they would actually have to pay over $7,000 in taxes first. Now, while Oprah's studio would cover the sales tax and registration for each car, the audience members were given a choice to either pay $7 grand and take the car, or simply just take the cash instead. Now, the infamous moment on the show featured 11 real teachers who were, according to Oprah, in desperate need of a new car. They, along with the audience, received keys in a box on camera that Oprah claimed to be their new car. Now, everything has a catch, even now. Now, for someone who is known for being charitable and generous, the word free clearly meant something different to Oprah. Now, up next on the list, we have Stand Up Cindy. Now, Cindy Crawford, who is a model and actress, has called Oprah out over their 1986 interview that took place on her show, where Oprah asked the then 20-year-old to expose herself to the crowd. Now, Crawford reflected on the interview in a new documentary called The Supermodels. The documentary focuses on the careers of several models like Linda Everlist and, of course, Cindy Crawford. Now, in a clip from the documentary, Winfrey is heard introducing the then aspiring supermodel to the Oprah Winfrey Show before she asks, "Did she always have this body? This is unbelievable, stand up." She actually made her stand up, and then she said, "This is what I call a body." Now, Cindy, as anyone else would be, was visibly uncomfortable and was standing up for the studio audience as they cheered when they showed off her figure. Now, according to Cindy, she felt like a child at the moment being told what to do by her superior. Now, she felt that at the moment, she was more of a show us why you're worthy of being here. Now, at the time, this was just some weird thing Oprah asked her to do, but it morphed and mutated into one of the most uncomfortable moments of her early years in modeling. Now, the most shocking thing for her was the fact that Oprah Winfrey, trying to tell her what to do, the woman known for her kindness and generosity, made her feel like a puppet. Now, up next we have Where's the Beef? So in the spring of 1996, the United Kingdom apparently experienced an outbreak of mad cow disease. Now, according to the FDA, the disease destroys cows' central nervous system, and if humans eat the infected meat, we'll basically get sick and turn into zombies. But they can actually contract a deadly variant called Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. Now, during the mad cow scare, the Oprah Winfrey Show booked Howard Lyman, who was a rancher who adopted a vegetarian lifestyle and went to work for the Humane Society's Eating with Animal Welfare campaign, and he appeared on the show to discuss the threat of mad cow to Americans. He pointed out that feeding the remains of mad cows to already infected cattle or other animals could have facilitated the spread, and that those types of practices were common in the US. Now, Oprah was visibly disgusted and right then and there vowed that she would never eat a burger again. Now, her influence and her millions of viewers were so large that only a few hours after the episode aired and she declared she'd never eat a hamburger again, the price of beef stock plummeted, staying at an all-time low for over 2 months. One Texas rancher actually lost an estimated $6.7 million and organized a class action lawsuit against Oprah and her show for talking trash about American beef. Then, after a 6-week trial, she actually won, leaving one man with no farm and out of $1,000 in legal fees, all because she was disgusted. Now, up next, we have Oprah's stance on weight loss. Now, Oprah Winfrey has been called out for using weight loss medication despite being a longtime ambassador for Weight Watchers. Now, the famous talk show host has confirmed that she uses an unnamed substance to help her control her weight. Now, in a revealing conversation, Oprah said her new slim figure is thanks to the medication and a healthier lifestyle overall. She said, "I now use it as I feel I need it, and the fact that there's a medically approved prescription for managing weight and staying healthier in my lifetime feels feels like a relief, like a redemption, like a gift, and not something to hide behind and once again be ridiculed for. She went on to say, "I'm absolutely done with the shaming from other people and particularly myself." However, the fans felt the billionaire was being hypocritical given that she is a proud spokesperson for Weight Watchers, a company she has worked with since 2017. Now next up on the list we have her exposing herself. Now Oprah is top on the list for getting exposed because she has been doing it to herself since day one. Now her talk show is all about bringing the most vulnerable people onto the show to get views. She's brought violence victims, health experts, and fake psychologists and convicted felons onto her programs, all for the sake of profit. As the years went by, her style was adapted by more and more studios, creating shows like Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz, both equally as controversial. Now, not to mention a few years ago when she wrote a book detailing her early life and rise to the top, revealing some truly dark truths about her life at home. Now, she herself was considered to be a menace by her own family, but it seems to be whatever negative juju lived in the house rubbed off on Oprah 100%. Now, last on the list we have Seal and Hank. This man may be known for his vocal chops, but he should be known for his meme-making abilities. Now, just days after the Golden Globes, Seal posted a meme on Instagram consisting of several photos of Oprah Winfrey cozying up with a man whose name I am not allowed to say on the internet because he is so horrendous. Now, he is the guy who produced half of Quentin Tarantino's movies, and he was actually the main cause of the Me Too movement, and for the rest of this segment, he will be referred to as Hank. So Oprah and Hank were photographed spending time together, and one photo even made it look like Oprah was pushing singer Rita Ora toward Mr. Hank. Now, Seal captioned the image saying a bunch of stuff that I can't quote here, but the meme itself said, "When you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you are the solution." I'm not sure how deep this feud goes on, but from the surface it seems that the Seal has been trying to warn us that something is up for years.
Number 10. Crosswalk Karaoke. James is a multi-talented performer, priding himself on his singing abilities and acting chops. So of course it would make sense he wanted to add a bit to his series called Crosswalk the Musical. In this bit, Corden would invite his guests to learn a brief musical number for various musicals like Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. Now what's the twist? Well, they would perform the number in the middle of rush hour traffic in Los Angeles. In between the shifting lights, they would just stand in front of stopped traffic and have dozens and dozens of people dancing and singing in the streets. Now, kudos to the editing team on Late Night. The bit is usually well done and the audience is usually pretty into it. Camera footage from multiple drivers exposed that the reality was the actors were lip singing, but also like yelling the lines, and they would take their sweet time getting out of the way of traffic due to the amount of film equipment as well as just the sheer volume of people on the freeway, to the point where in one instance James was actually hit by an impatient driver. They were doing La La Land at the time, but I really wish they had been doing Cats. That image would just be hilarious.
Number 2. Sharon Osbourne. The former The Talk panelist is no stranger to plastic surgery, and it really seemed to work with her over the years considering her appearance was never altered too drastically. But all that changed in late 2021 when she got a facelift that, in her own words, ended up making her look like a cyclops. Quote, "I had a full facelift done in October, and I looked like one of those effing mummies that they wrap with bandages." She told the Sunday Times that the whole thing hurt like hell, but what was even worse is that all the pain never really paid off for her. Sharon said that after the more than 5-hour surgery, she was left looking horrendous, and she even told the surgeon, quote, "You've got to be effing joking. One eye was different to the other. I looked like an effing cyclops. All I need is a hunchback." It sounds funny, but it would have been a nightmare for her. Even her husband, Ozzy Osbourne, was totally against the results. Fortunately, she was able to undergo reconstructive work, and she's now a lot more satisfied with her appearance. And coming in at number 1, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. Of all the famous twins in Hollywood, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen are probably the most mysterious. The former child stars announced an abrupt and permanent retirement from acting more than 15 years ago, and ever since then they've kept a low profile. But the twins are still hard at work on their fashion line and other business endeavors. But when photos surfaced over the years of Mary-Kate looking drastically drastically different from Ashley. Fans began speculating that one or both sisters may have had plastic surgery. People were pretty rude when it came to targeting the appearance of both of them, with some outlets reporting that Ashley underwent a botched facelift and that Mary-Kate looked a lot older. In fact, one plastic surgeon who spoke to Life and Style magazine insisted that the changes could have come from other factors, such as nicotine products or lifestyle changes. The sisters looked surprisingly similar when they were younger, which caused most people to assume that they were identical, but they're actually fraternal twins, which might help explain their physical differences now. The girls did have a brief chance to get back on the screens recently in the revival of their original show Fuller House, but they just weren't interested in participating, which seemed to disappoint a lot of fans. But it only served to make them more mysterious as they continued to live ever so private lives.
In our number 1 spot is Charlotte Crosby. She's skyrocketed into fame after being an OG member of the reality show Geordie Shore for many seasons. People were quick to fall in love with her fun personality and also her natural beauty, which is why they were left so shocked when she became the topic on a show called Celebrities: What Happened to Your Face. The show exposed her plastic surgery transformation, and fans were shocked to see how drastic her changes were. Charlotte has never denied having surgery and has always been open about it along the way, but she had a problem with how the show criticized her for it. She has admitted to Botox, fillers, and other plastic surgery procedures, but doctors have recently come forward sharing their concerns that her fillers were not done well. Dr. Sabrina Shadisai said, "You can see her lips are too full. The apple of her cheek is too big, almost like a golf ball. Good jobs are not visible, bad jobs are extremely visible." There is no denying that she looks different now, still beautiful though nonetheless, and I was a huge fan of the show. I think she's hilarious. Sniping our number 9 spot is Mel B. Let's be realistic for a second, because she is a former Spice Girl. I don't think she will ever be like unrecognizable. People will always know her as Scary Spice. But she has changed her look throughout her career, and if you aren't a Spice Girls fan, then there's a chance you wouldn't look twice if she passed by. She is still just as gorgeous as she was when she was in the girl group, but you can tell that she's had some work done. The singer admits to it though, doing countless interviews and admitting to having nips and tucks throughout the years. She's altered both her body and her face, and some of the work she has had done shows. When talking to Piers Morgan, she admitted that there are things about her body and appearance that she doesn't like, which is why she decided to have procedures done in the first place. She's always kept it very real though, which I can respect and appreciate. She once uploaded a picture of her getting cosmetic surgery and wrote, "I believe in being the best version of yourself, and I'm a great believer of looking and keeping your natural beauty, suggesting that cosmetic procedures are better than going under the knife sometimes," which a lot of people do. You know, like the Botox, the fillers. Yeah, not for me. I don't like needles. I wish there was another way. Coming up next, number 8 is Simon Cowell. While his brutally honest attitude hasn't changed much throughout the years, his appearance sure has. One thing that has fluctuated throughout his career is his weight, which has changed his appearance on different occasions, but he was always recognizable. I mean, he's Simon Cowell. It wasn't until he stepped out on the red carpet in 2020 looking very different with a new face and a new smile. Turns out he got a brand new set of teeth and had some work done to his face, which made him look really stiff, almost like plastic. But he didn't try to hide the fact he had plastic surgery done. He actually admitted to getting a facelift and explained that it hurt like hell. He was heavily criticized by the internet, with people saying that it looked like his surgeon did the procedure in the dark. It has settled down now more. That didn't make sense. It has settled down more now, is what I meant to say. He looks back to himself. Moving on to number 7, we have Aubrey O'Day. She first gained fame from being one of the members of Danny D. Kane after competing to be in the group for 2 seasons on MTV's Making the Band competition show. The group eventually split, and she continued to grow her own solo career, changing her appearance along the way. She's appeared on different reality TV shows and has made headlines for her ever-changing looks. Despite photos and media showing how drastically different she looks now, she's always denied having plastic surgery done. She has admitted to some cosmetic procedures, but stands firm on not going under the knife. Because she denies it, people criticize her photos online, asking if it's just really heavy editing or if she's had work done. It also didn't help her case when paparazzi photos went viral online and showed her without any filters or makeup, showing her looking like a completely different person than what people see online. Caused a huge stir, and she said that the photos were tweaked to make her look worse than she really did, but no one was buying it. And spot number 6 is Kim Novak. She's been in the industry for decades now, so of course her appearance is going to change naturally over time. But she has admitted that her changes have not always been natural and admitted to getting plastic surgery, even revealing that she has regretted some of the choices. Fans quietly watched her looks change throughout the years, but they were shocked in 2014 when she showed up to the Academy Awards looking very different. Turns out she'd received facial injections not long before that, and it left quite the difference on her face. Viewers took her new look to Twitter and reacted to the change, saying that she needed to sue her plastic surgeon because her procedures looked botched. In a newer interview, actually just a few months ago, she says that receiving fat injections in her face was the worst thing she's ever done. The reason she actually got the procedure done in the first place was because she felt insecure and didn't want to get a facelift done, so she went with the injections instead. But it didn't really work out in her favor. Yeah, like I would try injections before I try going under a frickin' knife, but I want neither. They scare me. Halfway through our countdown, at number 5 we have Kim Bierman. As one of the original housewives on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, she became popular very quickly with her outrageous personality. Her career skyrocketed at that point, and over the years she has caused some controversy for her apparent love for plastic surgery. In 2016, she did an intimate interview with E! Online where she revealed that she's had several plastic surgeries over the years and is not afraid to get more. She said, "I will always nip and tuck if I feel the need to do so, but I am open about it. I don't care. You only go around one time, and I especially understand that, and life is very short, so there's no reason for me to lie." But even though she looks great for being a mom of 6 kids, people criticize her for encouraging her 18-year-old daughter to get lip injections. Not only did she support it, but she actually took her daughter to the best clinic in town to do so, and they documented it, and fans just had a lot to say about that. Cruising to number 4, we have Teresa Guides. Now I probably said that wrong, so all you Real Housewives fans, don't come at me. She is another Real Housewives star who has changed her looks drastically, but she is a member of the Real Housewives of New Jersey. There's a lot of them. When looking at photos of her then versus now, there's no denying that she looks like a different person. Oftentimes, fans have questioned her online about going under the knife, asking what work she has had done to achieve her new look. She's never openly talked about the details, but a plastic surgeon named Dr. Frank Agulo revealed his opinion and said, "Teresa has probably undergone a full facelift with a possible neck lift and fat injections in the face." Other doctors have also come forward as well, saying that a possible nose job could have been done based on their professional opinion. Despite what she has had done though, she has been able to keep her youthful looks, and people just know that she has had some cosmetic help. You might as well admit it.
Number 7. Judy Garland. The original Dorothy of Oz had a difficult life after Judy Garland passed away in 1969. Later, it would be said that her life was full of many hardships and she unfortunately suffered her whole life. It all began when the actor was 13 years old and signed a contract with MGM Studios. During this time, executives at the studio allegedly created body images for her by forcing her not to eat and made her develop a resilience on substances. And they even reportedly made unwanted advancements towards her. By the age of 19, Judy then got married for the first time and would go on to have 5 husbands in total, and one was allegedly abusive. The most shocking story, however, comes from her most famous film. Judy's ex-husband, Sid Luft, who served as her manager and whom she married from 1952 to 1965, had a memoir published in 2017 where he claimed that the actors who played the Monksians in The Wizard of Oz made unwanted advancements towards Judy on set, and they would make Judy's life miserable on set by putting their hands under her dress. With the Monksians being 40 or more years old, Sid would say they thought they could get away with anything because they were so small. Number 6. Amy Adams. Director David O. Russell has alleged documented history of aggressive behavior on set. like the time he got into a physical altercation with George Clooney, to the time he called Lily Tomlin a "see you next Tuesday" while filming the 2004 I Heart Hucklebees. But the most disturbing allegation was when David continuously mistreated Amy Adams on the set of the 2013 American Hustle movie. In emails leaked the following year through WikiLeaks, journalist Jonathan Alter wrote to his brother-in-law, Sony Entertainment CEO and chair Michael Yachten, that the new stories of Russell's abuse and lunatic behavior are extreme even by Hollywood standards, before claiming that he abused Amy Adams and that even her co-star Christian Bale had to get in his face and yell at him to stop acting like an a-hole. Amy would then confirm in an interview with GQ in 2016 that David did mistreat her on set when she said, "He did make me cry. He was hard on me, that's for sure. It was a lot. I was really just devastated on set." Number 5. Hannah Waddingham. Battles may have been in common in the film on Games of Thrones, but Hannah Waddingham, who played Septa Unella on the popular fantasy drama from 2015 to 2016, never expected to literally be waterboarded during a day's work. In season 6 on the show, Cersei Lannister pays Septa back for torturing her by having Septa captured and tortured too. Hannah then told Collider that Unella was supposed to be taken advantage of, but decision makers made a last-minute change while she was flying to the film, and her wardrobe suddenly required her in a wetsuit. Instead of using visual effects to simulate the act of torture, Hannah claims that she was literally waterboarded, and she said, "And there I was, strapped to a wooden table with proper big straps for 10 hours. And definitely other than childbirth, it was the worst day of my life." The 10-hour day of traumatic filming was not without actual consequences, as Hannah would then add the situation definitely caused her to have claustrophobia when she's around water. Number 4. Sophia Bush. When Sophia Bush was playing Erin Lindsay on NBC's Chicago PD for 4 seasons before she quit the show in 2017, in the middle of her 7-year contract, she then would later explain to Dax Shepard on the Armchair Expert podcast that her body could not handle the physically demanding conditions she was put in on set. In the interview, she would say, "I quit because I've been so programmed to be a good girl and to be a workhorse and to be a tugboat that I've always prioritized hugging the ship for the crew, for the show, for the group ahead of my own health. The reality was that my body was falling apart because I was really, really unhappy." She then went on to claim that while the show was being filmed in Chicago, creative decision makers made the cast film outside in weather conditions that were 62 degrees below freezing because the snow looked cool on camera. Sophia also then went on to note that she endured being abused at work because she didn't want to jeopardize her job for crew members, and that the culture protected what was happening on set. Bush alleged that she gave her bosses a whole season to fix the issues that she knew she had been working in the conditions in Chicago, and when they didn't comply, she decided it would just be best to exit the show altogether. Number 3. Elliot Page. Back in 2017, Elliot Page would take to his Facebook page to say that Brett Ratner outed him as gay during the filming of the X-Men The Last Stand. Page went on to say, "I was a young adult who had not come out yet to myself. I knew I was gay, but did not know, so to speak. I felt violated when this happened. He outed me with no regard for my well-being, in an act we all recognize as homophobic." In addition, Ratner also told a woman on set you should F her to make her realize she's gay. Page then went on to say Ratner's comments replayed in his mind many times over the years as he's encountered homophobia and coped with feeling of reluctance and uncertainty about the industry and his future in it. Just a short time before Elliot went public with his story, 6 women accused Ratner of a range of unwanted advances and misconduct. Number 2. Shelley Duvall. Director Stanley Kubrick is notorious for running a demanding set. However, did you know that The Shining broke the Guinness World Record for most retakes for one scene with dialogue after it took them 148 takes to finish it? In 2021, The Hollywood Reporter would then ask former Hollywood star Shelley Duvall if Stanley treated her viciously on set, and she would tell the outlet, "He's got that streak in him. He definitely has that, but I think mostly because people have been that way to him at some point in the past." While Shelley did tell the Rolling Stone Stanley was warm and friendly towards her, Shelley's own daughter Vivian captured Shelley's physical and emotional exhaustion while filming The Shining in a behind-scenes documentary which featured the actor lying down on the floor in a complete state of exhaustion. Shelley once also told Roger Ebert that going through the day after day of excruciating work was almost unbearable. Angelica Houston, who lived with the film's star Jack Nicholson, would also go on to note that Shelley was having a difficult time with the film's emotional content before saying, "When I saw her during those days, she seemed generally a bit tortured, shook up. I don't think anyone was particularly careful of her." And coming in at number 1, we have Debbie Reynolds. Debbie Reynolds got her star-making role playing Kathy in 1952's Singing in the Rain. Debbie was much like her character who was trying to break out into the movie business, as she was not as experienced as her co-stars Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor. In fact, Debbie had no prior dance training before the production began, but Kelly, who co-directed the film, was apparently not a patient teacher and he mistreated Debbie on set. Debbie would open up about her mistreatment in her unsinkable memoir in 2013, where she would say, "My feet were bleeding from all that dancing, and when I pointed out, Gene says, 'Clean it up.' He was very sentimental like that." Debbie would also claim that Gene was a cruel taskmaker when she noted that he came to rehearsals and criticized everything she did and never gave her a single word of encouragement. Later, for his part, Kelly did eventually admit that he did mistreat his young co-star badly, and he said, "I wasn't really nice to Debbie. I'm surprised she still speaks to me." But Gene's on-set behavior went beyond meanness, as he also shoved his tongue down her throat in a particular scene.
At number 10, Kanye West. Most people see Kanye West as a little too extra. He's caused scandals like his VMA interruption with Taylor Swift, his comments about George W. Bush, as well as many other instances that have just rubbed people the wrong way. To add to that, he's reportedly very hard to work with. During filming of Anchorman 2, Kanye came on set for a brief appearance in the film, and though he played a small part, he left a big impression on the cast and crew, and it wasn't positive. Apparently, after Kanye wrapped on set, he refused to leave. He could have just gone home after he finished his scenes, but he decided to stick around. That's fine if you want to stay and watch other people's performances, but that's not exactly what Kanye did. Instead, he hung around set blasting music so loudly that it disrupted filming. People tried to get him to just leave, but he wouldn't. I think it's safe to say that if a third Anchorman movie were to happen, Kanye just would not be welcomed back. At number 9, Lea Michele. Lea Michele was exposed in 2020 for her Hollywood mean streak and for her terrible on-set behavior. This all came out following a tweet from former Glee co-star Samantha Ware, where she let the world know how horrible it was to work with Lea. The actress is now described as, quote, callous, rude, mean, and even a diva. But following Samantha's exposure of the Broadway star, other people have come forward with their own testimonies regarding Lea and her mean streak. There have been stories of Lea's microaggressions, but also stories of her spitting in craft service food that she doesn't like, refusing to work with people because they didn't know her middle name, requesting reshoots because she didn't like her costume, disrespecting other castmates, and having crew members apologize on her behalf, and so many other frustrating tidbits that just really show how rude and entitled she's been known to be. No one wants to work with her after learning about how much of a nightmare she can be on set. Before we carry on talking about the celebrities who are just the worst people to work with on set, why not take a moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Julia Roberts. Even though Julia Roberts seems like a nice person, it turns out that she's a nightmare on set. Ironically, she's almost always cast as nice and endearing characters, but there's seemingly much more to Julia than meets the eye. Apparently, she's known to have a pretty bad attitude on set, which can make working with her an unpleasant experience. In 1991, on the set of the Peter Pan film Hook by Steven Spielberg, Julia earned the on-set nickname Tinkerhell as a play on her character Tinkerbell. She earned this moniker based on the production staff's perception of the actress. Apparently, during filming, she would constantly show up to set late, and even when she was on set, she would lock herself in her trailer for hours on end. She also reportedly treated people badly, and she would never apologize for her mean actions or behavior. Julia was truly the opposite of the pixie she was playing.
Number 9. Short temper. Fans will recount nothing but good times for the Late Late Show. The host is so bubbly and happy-go-lucky. What would he even look like angry? Well, unfortunately, the staff of Balthazar, a small French restaurant in New York City, witnessed firsthand the wrath of Corden when his wife accidentally was served a salad and an egg yolk omelet with just a little bit of white accidentally mixed in. He had it sent back, shouting at the waiters, only for the dish to return fixed, but it now had a side of fries instead of salad, and for some reason reason he was furious about that. Like, if someone took a salad away from me and brought me a plate of french fries, I'd be stoked. Now, he went on a tangent, reportedly causing the server to have some sort of panic attack and they needed to be replaced. And on top of that, the owner of the restaurant, Keith McNally, then publicly banned James from ever entering his store again, claiming he was the most abusive customer to his Balthazar servers that he has seen since the restaurant opened its doors 25 years ago. Quarter later apologized for the incident and was invited back, but as a former server, I can safely say there is always going to be just a little bit of egg whites in your omelet from now on. Just a little. Number 8. Lies detected. Now, in one of the show's more popular bits, Late Late Lie Detector, Corden asks his guests to hook up to a lie detector test and answer a series of questions on air. During one segment of this bit, in which guest Kris Jenner is hooked up to the line when she is asked about her involvement in producing a certain tape, if you know, you know, she was quick to roll her eyes and shake her head and said, no, no, no. And then the expert gave a resounding, true. Case closed, right? No. Not even close. Because the next day, Kim Kardashian's ex-boyfriend Ray J blasted the show, calling the segment fake, claiming that the man giving the test, John, was underqualified. Going on to call the network sad for allowing the segment to be aired and threatening to sue Corden and the show itself. A little digging was done and it turned out that there were some truths to these claims, as John's LinkedIn profile revealed that he had attended a number of unspecified lie detector academies, which sounds made up enough, but it also says that he has a bachelor's in law, but that he didn't actually finish the course. If you need further proof that this man in question was a phony, well, Kris responded to the question, "Who is your favorite host?" with, of course, James Corden, and the man once again gave just a monotone, true. Number 7. Asian food petition. The Late Late Show features a segment called Spill Your Guts, where guests either have to answer difficult questions or eat the disgusting foods presented to them. While the foods that are presented to the guests are meant to be off-putting and encourage them to answer the questions as an alternative, many of the foods are actually popular dishes from various Asian cultures. He presented foods like balut, century-old eggs, and chicken feet, mixed in with items like fish eggs and animal excrement. Corden would openly call the food horrific and disgusting, inciting outrage from many fans and inspiring a petition to begin on change.org. They wanted to have the segment wiped entirely from the program. And after over a month of petitioning, the Late Late host responded, saying that they would no longer be using any Asian foods on his show ever again. Number 6. Patrick Stewart. Sir Patrick Stewart is best known for his performance as Charles Xavier in the X-Men franchise, but he's also well known for being a sweetheart. At the Glamour Awards several years ago, he was presenting an award when a certain late show host was spotted backstage. Stewart tells the audience that Corden was backstage with his hands in his pocket, looking like he'd rather be literally anywhere else. And of course, Corden ran out on stage to defend himself, telling Stewart that he couldn't have been more wrong, which prompted Stewart to make a joke about seeing James's tummy from across the stage. This caused James to get right up in Patrick's face and demand him to explain the punchline, and of course he was immediately asked to leave the stage. Many speculate that something like this must have been planned, but so far there hasn't been any proof or evidence suggesting that this was staged. This took place well before his restaurant fiasco, so it showcased just how bad and short-tempered Corden really can be. Number 5. Demi Moore's book. Spill Your Guts makes a brief return on this list, because in 2019 Corden invited Moore on the show to promote her new memoir entitled Inside Out. During the Spill Your Guts segment, Moore asked Corden, "In the green room, you said you loved my book. What part specifically was your favorite?" Now Corden paused and fumbled, saying, I love the part about the drugs. And he then caved and admitted that he actually didn't read the book. But he did love the pictures, so that's gotta count, right? As a Late Late host, you don't have to read every single book or watch every movie or TV show that's put in front of you, but at least be upfront about it. He apologized for lying and said that he just wanted her to feel better before eating a big ol' spoon of cow blood and pork tongue jelly. Yummy. The only reason this lie was ever exposed was because of the segment, but you gotta wonder, how many other guests have been told what they've wanted to hear over the years? What else has he really not seen or read? I don't know, comment your ideas down below. Number 4. carpool karaoke. One of Corden's most famous late night bits, carpool karaoke, where James invites a celebrity guest to sit in his car, drive around the city, and sing familiar and top charting songs. Sounds wholesome, right? No, you're wrong. After a photo surfaced online in 2018, evidence showed that James was actually never driving the cars during this segment, and that they were simply carted around town on a trailer. Not only does this mean that James was lying about the bit, but anyone who got into his car was lying too. Honestly, I think he should have just been forward about this from the beginning. It actually would have added a new comedic level to the bit, knowing that famous people were being pulled around in what was essentially a $40,000 wagon. Now, he claims the trailer is for safety purposes, but hey man, if you can't drive and sing at the same time, are you actually living? Number 3. Soap slander. Hollyoaks is one of British television's most popular soap operas, airing in the early evenings on Channel 4 since 1995. In the early days of his career, James actually appeared in a single episode of this show and used that footage to help launch his future career. Now, proudly placing the role on his resume for years, his lies were revealed when, during an interview on The Late Late Show many years later, he took the opportunity to bash the show, saying that he'd rather die than return for another episode, and that it was absolutely awful. He claimed that the cast were filled with a quote, chicken in a basket like sense of fame, and that they would always talk about moving to LA. Like, hey man, what's your problem? People can't have dreams? Ricky Whittle, best known to American audiences for his work on The 100 and American Gods, played constable and nightclub operator Calvin Valentine on the series from 2006 to 2011, and was very quick to defend the series and dish out some verbal knowledge of his own, reminding Corden how childish it was to be slandering a series that essentially gave him a career. He then joked about not knowing who James played in James's own series Gavin and Stacey, being like, is he Gavin? Is he Stacey? Who knows? Personally, I don't. Number 2. The Prom. The Prom hit Broadway in 2018 and earned 7 Tony Award nominations. The musical is about a bunch of narcissistic New York theatrical actors who use a small town controversy, which is that the high school in the town won't allow a female student to take her girlfriend to prom, as a cause to cynically embrace and promote themselves. The film version was released in 2020 and starred a stacked cast, including Meryl Streep, Nicole Kidman, and look, it's James Corden. Corden was ecstatic about his performance and made sure to let everybody know just how proud he was. Unfortunately for him, that pride quickly turned to shame as critics began slamming his performance. You see, Corden plays Barry Glickman, possibly the most self-absorbed of the New York contingents. The character is also openly gay, while Corden is not, and his interpretation of the role was iffy. He continuously leaned into gay stereotypes, performing what many in the industry called gay face. Despite the negative receptions, Corden was nominated for a Golden Globe, but the award ultimately went to Sacha Baron Cohen for his performance in Borat 2. Very nice.
Taking over the 3rd spot is Blac Chyna. We can imagine how hard it would be to hide your plastic surgery when you are in the Hollywood limelight, but it would be even harder when you are in connection to the Kardashian family. She was in a relationship with Rob Kardashian, even having a child with him, a daughter named Dream. In recent times, she's been candid about her transformations and admitted to getting procedures on both her body and her face. She spoke on the Wendy Williams show and admitted that she got lipo done, had a butt augmentation, and also had 4 breast augmentations done throughout the years, both to make them bigger and to make them smaller. But ever since having her daughter, she said it is just becoming too much. As for her face, she has admitted to cosmetic procedures and removing her face piercings, which ended up leaving her with dimples on her cheeks. So if you ever wondered where those are from, it is because she had piercings. The holes from her piercings have now closed up, but she's left with those dimples, which I didn't know. I thought she just had dimples. In spot number 2, we have Elon Musk. For years now, people have been debating whether or not he has had cosmetic procedures done, and if so, what exactly he has had done. While there has been no confirmation from him, people are convinced that he has had a facelift and also a hair transplant. Photos will show that his hairline was once very receding and now he has a full head of hair, but it also shows his face taking on a very different shape and very smooth skin, almost like wax. People didn't really notice his drastic change in appearance until recently, when an old photo of him started getting passed around online. There were a lot of inconsistencies in his appearance, and people have debated whether it's just Botox, if it's a facelift surgery, or if it's other kinds of enhancements. Like I said though, there are no confirmations on what the answer is, so I will let you guys be the judge. Let me know in the comments. Coming in hot at number 1 is Mama June. Her real name is June Shannon, but she earned the name Mama June on the hit series Here Comes Honey Boo Boo. She first surprised fans with a completely different look after losing a significant amount of weight. Reports say when she was doing the show, she was around 460 pounds. She ended up having gastric surgery in May 2016 and then later had a tummy tuck. She then went on to have her own reality show called Mama June From Not to Hot, where she filmed her journey of losing over 300 pounds by working out with a trainer a few times a week and changing her diet. But her body is not the only thing that has changed. She has also had plastic surgery done to her face, which has also dramatically changed her appearance. We're not sure what exact procedures she has had done. Reports say she got her teeth fixed and underwent cosmetic procedures, which could mean a variety of things. So, haven't been able to nail down just exactly what. Kicking off our countdown at number 10 is Bella Hadid. The famous model is beautiful nonetheless, but her transformation goes under the radar sometimes, with people not realizing how much her appearance has changed. But she's always been very defensive when it comes to rumors that claim she has had plastic surgery done and other procedures like face fillers. During a 2018 interview, she responded to comments on it and said, "People think I got all this surgery or did this or that. And you know what? We can do a scan on my face, darling. I'm scared of putting fillers in my lips. I wouldn't want to mess up my face." But looking at photos from the start of her career in 2010 until now, she looks completely different. And if it isn't surgery or cosmetic procedures, what caused the drastic change? She's denied everything, so maybe one day she will give us a real answer. Up next, number 9, we have Sharon Osbourne. Unlike Bella, Sharon has always been very open and honest about her journey with plastic surgery. In 2016, she admitted that she was on her 3rd face at that point and revealed she hasn't always liked the work that she's had done. She said, "In a lot of shots, my face looks plastic, and at certain angles, I'm like, oh dear, I should have never done that." But that has not stopped her from getting more done. In September of 2019, on the premiere of The Talk, she shared with the audience that she had gotten a facelift 5 weeks prior. She said she had her neck done to make her face look more refreshed. You wouldn't think she looks much different in more recent times because she's been getting work done for a while now, but when you see her before pictures, you really get to see just how much her face has changed throughout her life. Honestly, I didn't even know what she looked like before until I saw that. I was like, what? Different person. Sniping our number 8 spot, we have the Bogdanov brothers. Igor and Grishka Bogdanov are identical twins known for being French TV presenters, producers, and scientific writers. But they are also known for their very drastic plastic surgery transformation, which has gotten the attention of media all over the world. Back in the 1970s, they were known for their handsome looks and were sharing screen time before they got addicted to cosmetic surgery. In 2010, it was reported that they each had a number of chin and cheek implants as well as fillers and Botox. But a little too much of all of the above because their face looks permanently swollen all the time and they now have a very cat-like look to them. When seeing the before and after pictures, it is crazy to see how much their face has changed. In spot number 7, we have Priscilla Presley. She will always be under a spotlight after being Elvis Presley's ex. How could you not be? But in 2018, media outlets were focused on her with rumors going around claiming she had even more plastic surgery done. People criticized her hard on social media, saying that she looks like she had a mask on. She has spoken about some of her botched cosmetic procedures in the past, saying that she has had industrial low-grade silicone injected into her face. She described it as being something similar to what mechanics use to grease car parts. Her botched procedure led to an investigation, with that doctor being sentenced to 18 months in federal prison. Some of his injections caused lumps, paralysis, and holes in his client's face. So Priscilla had to undergo even more procedures to try and correct the mistakes that he made, and unfortunately, this drastically changed her appearance. Taking over spot number 6 is Kenny Rogers. He never seemed to have a problem with the ladies, often praised for his handsome looks, but at one point in his life he decided to make some changes to his appearance, and now he says he regrets it. During a CBS interview, he got very personal and talked about his decision to get eye lift surgery and said, "The guy who did it was one of the world's best, but he just had this concept that the the edge of your eyes had to be higher than a certain place, and I regret that. He does look very different in the before and after comparison because the eye lift kind of changes the whole look and shape of his face. Plus, reports also claim that he has had Botox done as well, which has also altered his appearance. But not the worst one we've seen on this list. Halfway through our list, at number 5 is Adrienne Balin. People started telling her she looks like one of the Kardashian sisters now after seeming to have work done on her face. Fans started calling her out after her pictures online showed her lips looking more plump and her face taking a more contoured shape. Adrienne has been open about going under the knife for her breast implants when she was just 19 years old, but claims she's never touched her face. During an interview in 2014, she said she would never touch her face, but people don't believe that she's stuck to her word now that her face looks drastically different. A plastic surgeon even chimed in on the situation and said, "I think she's had rhinoplasty and lip filler and maybe cheek augmentation as well. Her lower lip used to be twice as thick as her upper lip, now they are almost the same thickness." Regardless, she's still beautiful. I honestly think people are just still holding on to her from looking like the Cheetah Girls. I mean, I kind of do that. I just remember her as the girl from the Cheetah Girls. Here now at number 4 is Tori Spelling. Just last month, she was making headlines for allegedly getting more plastic surgery done, but this was not the first time that this has happened. After rumor mills started claiming she had even more work done on her face, she finally commented on it while talking to The Sun. She said, "People have been talking about me having plastic surgery since I was 17. It's the one thing that has stayed with me my entire career." She's revealed in the past that she has had a nose job and her breasts done, but says that she hasn't had anything since. She said that when people say she's had extensive amounts of plastic surgery done over years, that is simply not true. But because of how drastic her face changes seem to be, people don't believe that she has not touched her face since then. It seems like more than just one nose job was done, but she has not admitted to anything else. She did admit though that she looks very different, revealing that her kids don't even recognize her in reruns of 90210.
At number 7, Mike Myers. Does anyone else remember the Cat in the Hat live action film from 2003 starring Mike Myers? I certainly do. It was very cringy, but in a good way, since I was a kid back then and I found everything unbelievably hilarious. I enjoyed that movie as a kid, but one person who didn't enjoy it was the Cat in the Hat himself, Mike Myers. After the success of Austin Powers, Mike was set to bump up his comedy and star in a production based on one of his old characters. But before that was all carried out, the actor and the studio got into some debates and there was legal trouble. It was all just unnecessary drama. Well, they both ended up reaching an agreement and it obligated Mike to star in the Cat in the Hat movie. He never wanted to sign up for that and he really made it known how badly he didn't want to be there. According to people who worked with him on set during filming of the Cat in the Hat, Mike was very rude and dismissive and he refused to talk to anyone. He became a hermit and a diva apparently, and this whole experience and subsequent film were all so bad that Dr. Seuss's widow said that she would never allow Hollywood to make another movie based on one of Seuss's books again. At number 6, Emma Roberts. Emma Roberts has had quite a few on-set feuds with co-stars. She's had drama with Gabri Sidibe, Ariana Grande, and Evan Peters, but the biggest feud that she's had was with Lea Michele on the set of Scream Queens. According to sources, Emma Roberts and Lea Michele had one strong attribute in common, and that was the fact that they were both divas, so while they were working together, they butt heads with each other quite often. Apparently their fighting got so bad while filming, actress Jamie Lee Curtis had to step in and mediate the hostile situation between Emma and Lea because she was so fed up with their constant bickering while they were trying to work. It was also reported that the actresses would constantly have mean girl moments, making rude and catty comments towards each other almost daily. Rumors of this feuding between them were pretty common in entertainment news while Scream Queens was still in production, showing that things never really died down between the two actresses. It seemed like Emma just caused a heck of a lot of drama with a lot of people on set. At number 5, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf has really been going through it in Hollywood. He kind of has a bad reputation now because of the conflicts that he's been in, the latest of which got him fired from a movie. Because of his bad attitude and clashes on set, the actor was fired by Olivia Wilde from the upcoming film Don't Worry Darling. It was announced in late fall of 2020 that Harry Styles would be replacing Shia in the film, and now we know that it was due to Shia's alleged bad behavior, as people have cited that the actor was, quote, not an easy guy to work with. It was alleged that there was some kind of conflict between him and Olivia Wilde as well, and the fact that other cast and crew members didn't like working with him, Shia was let go. Getting fired is always a negative thing, but in Hollywood, when a lot of your work involves other relationships with other actors and having connections, having a bad experience that was enough to get you fired can ultimately burn that bridge and result in you having less work. At number 4, Ben Stiller. A lot of people think of Ben Stiller as this super funny guy in Hollywood, but just because someone seems great in the public eye doesn't mean that's how they really are behind closed doors. It seems as though Ben Stiller is a nightmare in disguise because he's a tough guy to work with and he causes a lot of trouble on set. People who know or have worked with Ben in the past have exposed some of his bad behavior on set, and it's kind of shocking. According to those who worked with him on the set of the film Tropic Thunder, he was very controlling and mean to just about everyone there. He even reportedly had a meltdown on set when someone brought him his Diet Coke and it didn't have exactly 2 ice cubes in it. He even had someone fired because they didn't put enough sugar in his coffee. On top of that, Ben even forced his assistant to stand out in the parking lot in his designated parking space, even though it already had a sign saying that it was reserved. And to make matters even more hectic, Ben also freaked out on a female assistant he had, going so far as to refuse to come back to set until she was replaced by a male assistant. If all of this madness happened on just one film set, who knows what other shenanigans have gone on elsewhere with him. At number 3, Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase is known for being in National Lampoon and the show Community, but is also known around Hollywood as being kind of a jerk and starting drama with the people that he works with. There are a bunch of articles, books, and interviews of people talking about their experiences with the actor and how mean he can be. There are even stories in the book Live from New York that detail the times Chase has been mean to staff, writers, interns, and other hosts. Will Ferrell and Bill Murray are among those who have taken a disliking to Chase because of the way that he's treated others. Will Ferrell has said that he doesn't like Chevy because of the way that he treats some female staff members, and Bill Murray and Chevy Chase even got into a brawl backstage of SNL back in the day, where they said some pretty hurtful things to each other because they were kind of comedy rivals on the show. Chevy just doesn't get along with everyone, and he said it's because his fame went to his head, but something tells me that's not the only reason why he starts drama. At number 2, Bill Murray. Bill Murray already has a pretty bad reputation in Hollywood for his poor on-set behavior, so it's no surprise to me to find out that he's had some serious drama with one of his castmates on the set of Charlie's Angels. While filming the movie, Bill Murray was said to have antagonized actress Lucy Liu. When watching the film, you'd think that they were all good friends and on good terms, but in reality, that was quite the opposite. The film set was sort of a hostile environment that caused Bill to take a disliking towards Lucy. Turns out Bill would insult Lucy's talent and acting ability, and on one occasion even said, quote, "I get why you're here, you've got talent, but what in the hell are you doing here? You can't act." Apparently the harassment and bullying got so bad at one point that Lucy tried throwing punches at Bill during one scene because his insults got so bad. This antagonizing went on for the entire duration of the production, and Bill kept on berating Lucy about her presence on set and calling her unprofessional as well. This drama was just so unnecessary. And finally, at number 1, Sharon Osbourne. Talk show host Sharon Osbourne faced a lot of backlash last year after making comments about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. Sharon and her former co-host Cheryl Underwood got into a pretty heated argument surrounding Piers Morgan's remarks on Meghan Markle. During this feud, Sharon backed up Pierce's comments about Meghan Markle's mental health, and this really frustrated a lot of people because many felt as though what was being said was going a little too far. As a result of the remarks that Sharon made, she was called a racist, and a number of other accusations came out about how she's used various slurs in the past when talking about her other co-hosts on the show. As a result of this, the network that they worked for launched an internal investigation to look into the allegations against Sharon, and that ended with Sharon being let go from the show.
In audio obtained by the UK news outlet The Sun, Tom Cruise can be heard berating 2 crew members after seeing them in close proximity to one another. Apparently, while on set, a distance of 3 meters had been put into effect for COVID safety, but the pair were breaking this mandate. Tom is currently filming Mission Impossible 7, which is where this meltdown took place. Cruise, who is a producer on the big budget action film, starts off the clip by yelling that they are the gold standard. He continues by telling them that studio executives are back in Hollywood making movies right now because of their caution throughout this pandemic. The 2 crew members that Tom was screaming at apparently were less than a meter away from each other and standing at a computer screen. Approximately 50 staff members at the Warner Bros. Studio were left in shock by Tom's angry outbursts. That's 50 people standing around letting this actor and producer scream at them all for 2 minutes straight. I totally get why Tom Cruise was so angry here though. He was furious that after all of his efforts to bring back filming, two crew members were about to ruin it all for them. Cruise also said that he was offering no apologies for his rant because people's livelihoods are at stake. In the clip, he can be overheard saying, "You can tell it to the people that are losing their effing homes because our industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay for their college education. That's what I sleep with every night, the future of this effing industry. So I'm sorry, I'm beyond your apologies." He then went on to say, "We are not shutting this effing movie down. If I see it again, you're effing gone." The latest installment into the Mission Impossible franchise has already had some complications due to COVID. Apparently, the movie is earning its name throughout the process for the 7th film. In October, Tom Cruise had to hold crisis talks with the film's director after 12 people on set in Italy tested positive. Additionally, upwards of 150 background extras were turned away because the local health officials had still not tracked down the people on the crew that had tested positive. So as to not put more people at risk, filming was halted and everything was delayed even more. So you gotta imagine that Tom Cruise is just wanting to finish this film so that he can get this nightmare over with. According to The Sun, after Cruise returned to the UK 2 weeks ago, he personally tried to ensure that there would be no more delays. We're guessing this is a promise that he made to the studios back in Hollywood. Several times he has been photographed wearing a mask while on set, and obviously this audio recording is an example that he is cracking down on rule breakers. He apparently even personally paid £500,000 for an old cruise ship that the cast and crew could isolate on, which is a little ironic considering that some of the biggest COVID hotspots to begin with were cruise ships. Hopefully this one was properly scrubbed down before they boarded to quarantine, but nonetheless, that was a nice gesture of him. A source close to the set of Mission Impossible told The Sun that Tom has really been taking it upon himself, along with the health and safety department, to try and enforce these safety precautions, because the last thing that he wants is for filming to be stopped again. The source also went on to say, he does daily rounds to make sure that everything is set up appropriately, that people are behaving and working as safely as they can. He is very proactive when it comes to safety, adding, everyone was wearing masks, it was purely that these people were standing under a meter away from each other. It isn't known whether he saw those guys breaking the rules before, or whether this was the straw that broke the camel's back. The source also added that people make mistakes and slip up, but that Tom was just on it every time. Now I know the source could not confirm as to whether or not this was the crew member's first warning, but judging off of what Tom said to them in the last bit of that clip, they sound like repeat offenders. I mean, no one goes from 0 to 100 like that unless this is the second or third time that you've told them to be socially distanced. In the last part of that clip, Tom says, "All the way down the line, and I care about you guys, but if you're not going to help me, you're gone, okay? Do you see that stick? How many meters is that? When people are standing around a effing computer and hanging out around there, what are you doing? And if they don't comply, then send their names to Matt Spooner. That's it." Now it's important to note that as per usual, Twitter was divided by this incident. Some praised Tom Cruise for militantly enforcing COVID safety precautions, while others argued that no one should speak like this to anyone ever for any reason. However, those people are not producers on a massive franchise that is employing literally thousands of people. When you actually have some skin in the game, it will make you do some wild things, like yell at people for not being socially distanced. People were calling him a narcissist and egomaniac, but in reality it's quite the opposite. Everything he is saying comes back to him not wanting people to get sick or lose their jobs. Or worse, both. To me it sounds like a boss who is being responsible and holding his staff accountable for breaking the rules that puts everything they've worked so hard for at jeopardy.
Number 1. Show me the money. Talk shows are simple. You get a few cameras together in a nice studio with a solid band and some furniture, and you've got a show. However, most talk shows don't include extravagant bits like street performing and singing in a trailer car thing hybrid. They may be able to put it together and make us believe that everything is good, but this stuff costs a lot of money. You gotta pay cast, crew, catering, and Corden himself reportedly made over $5 million a year on the program, which is a lot considering the show has had a regular budget of $65 million a year, but has consistently only brought back $45 million in revenue. The only way the show was ever going to be able to stay on the air was if Corden himself partook in a multi-million-dollar pay decrease and had brutal staff reductions. So instead, he opted to just cancel the show entirely, which would be one thing if it was his show, but this was the Late Late Show. It's been around since 1995, first being hosted by Tom Snyder. He's taking away something he didn't even create, and now, instead of only some people losing their jobs, everybody loses their jobs. I don't know, A for effort, I guess.
10. Jussie Smollett. In January of 2019, famous actor Jussie Smollett walked into a Chicago police precinct and reported that he had just been the victim of a hate crime. He told the police that two strangers began shouting racial slurs. While one was just yelling at him, the other was pouring chemical bleach onto him before they both held him down and tied a rope to his neck. He claimed to have suffered severe rope burn and was physically ill from the experience. But as we all know now, this isn't exactly what happened. These so-called strangers were actually two brothers who worked with Jussie on the set of the hit series Empire, and according to inside sources, Jussie paid the brothers $3,500 each to help him stage the event, planning every single detail right down to the precinct visit. The proof that all of this was a rouse made up for publicity was the fact that the altercation conveniently took place directly in front of security cameras. An investigation took place that found ample evidence that Smollett had set himself up. They found receipts for the ropes used during the altercation left in the assailant's home and a way to hide the evidence. There was also security footage taken from a store where the brothers can be seen trying on and purchasing ski masks, gloves, and red hats. I would pay anything to see that footage. It would be so funny now. At the end of the day, Jussie was forced to serve 150 days in prison and pay the Chicago Police Department over $300,000 for wasting their time and resources. So before you all get mad about how I pronounce his name, I just want to remind you he faked a hate crime. Focus on that. 9. Kim Kardashian. The reality star can be tight-lipped about the cosmetic procedures she's undergone and has repeatedly denied plastic surgery rumors, but on a forthcoming episode of The Kardashians, she seems to make a surprising confession. In a peek at season 3 shared by her sister Khloe Kardashian on Snapchat, Kim is seen taking voice lessons. While talking to her vocal coach, the Skims founder admitted she couldn't use her neck muscles to sing because half of hers were probably Botoxed. Kim admitted to having a little bit of Botox in a 2012 Allure interview, but claims she's had no filler. She stated, "I've never filled my lips." While this may be true, back in 2010, Kardashian suffered facial bruises after getting Botox before she turned 30, an experience that was documented on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Kim claims that the surgeon warned her of all the possible side effects, as they should, but because it was the first time receiving the procedure, she flipped out in front of the cameras. Since then, Kim has steered clear of any more Botox-related procedures, claiming she felt a constant burning sensation for days afterwards, being some of the most painful moments of her life. 8. Ariana Grande. Now it should be no surprise to learn that Ariana Grande is not 100% a clean, clear cover girl. The Sam and Cat star and world famous musician dropped some truth during her Vogue Beauty Secrets tutorial last week. Grande shared with the world that she has had a ton of Botox and lip fillers over the years, but that she was ready to go back to the way she was. For a long time, she was getting regular injections and surgeries, but according to Ariana herself, she stopped seeking those treatments in 2018. She claimed that she felt like she was hiding herself from the world and was tired of being hidden behind a fake layer of herself. She went on to say that the decision to stop was also motivated by her wishing to see her natural features again, like her smile lines. Now she said she may get a facelift 10 years or so down the road, but compared to the invasiveness of Botox, that should be a chill Tuesday for Ariana. 7. Kanye West. In 2009, Kanye interrupted Swift during MTV's Music Video Awards as she was in the middle of an acceptance speech for Best Female Music Video. While the altercation didn't take place on camera over the next few months, the feud had become public, with Swift bashing Kanye's rude behavior during time specifically set aside for her. Kanye later apologized and things seemed to be fine until 2015, when the rapper released a song called Famous, in which he had some pretty harsh stuff in reference to Miss Swift. Taylor was very vocal about her dislike for the song and claimed that it was written to undermine her success. Kanye's then wife Kim Kardashian called Taylor out online, claiming that Taylor had approved her lyrics over the phone. Kim uploaded a Snapchat video that alleged Taylor did in fact say that Kanye can do whatever he wanted. The video included clips of Taylor that fans pointed out were edited to take her words out of context. In retaliation to this situation, many fans have claimed that several songs from her 2017 album Reputation were made in reference to Kimye, including the line, "This is why we can't have nice things." In 2020, a full version of the video Kim posted was released, released, proving that she did in fact edit the footage to make it seem like Taylor was on their team. In reality, Taylor never approved jack squat. Who would have guessed that Kim Kardashian and Kanye West were big liars? 6. Belle Gibson. Belle Gibson was a famous Australian influencer who was diagnosed with a brain tumor when she was 20 years old. According to Belle, she ditched the traditional chemotherapy route and instead decided to undergo alternative treatments like oxygen therapy that somehow worked, or so her thousands of followers thought. In 2013, Belle used her story to launch a health and wellness app called The Whole Pantry. She made a public vow to donate 1/3 of her profits to charity, was able to secure a cookbook contract with acclaimed publishing company Penguin, and Apple pre-installed her iPhone app on all Apple Watches. Kinda like when U2's new album just suddenly opened on your iTunes, like, I don't remember buying this. What the heck did I do last night? Not long after her rise to fame though, she claimed that the cancer had re-emerged basically everywhere and lamented about the short time she had left with her family. But as it usually does, the truth set her free. According to media outlet Who, the app's proceeds never made it to the charity, and former friends of the blogger voiced their suspicions to the point that 2 journalists from the Sydney Morning Herald took on the case, like detectives in a movie from the 30s, like, don't worry sweetheart, we'll solve the case. After a fairly minimal amount of sleuth work, Gibson was forced to reveal that she had in fact faked her diagnosis for media coverage. The aftermath involved a civil suit being launched against Belle by Consumer Affairs Victoria, and a judge ruled that she may be suffering from psychological or psychiatric delusions at the time, but was in fact found guilty of misleading and deceptive conduct. That's a thing you can sue people for? I gotta make some phone calls. 5. Kylie Jenner. For years and years and years, Kylie, along with everyone else in her family, has denied the involvement of cosmetic surgery on camera. Throughout the history of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, there have been an immeasurable number of clips that will go down in the history books. Seriously, somebody should give this lady an Oscar. After a long time of not telling the truth, the internet called her bluff. Now, I've been told we can't talk about the challenge that happened a few years ago because people were actually getting hurt attempting to recreate Kylie's perfect plump lips with little no juice glasses, a painful lesson that Kylie did not intend to teach. Well, Kylie decided to let the cat out of the bag and inform her fans that she did in fact receive fillers to achieve her look. She then urged people to stop doing the challenge as it could not only leave permanent damage, but it also just made her look bad. Revealing the truth is one thing, revealing the truth because you might be in trouble, a whole other story.
Rolling into our 3rd spot is Yolanda Hadid. Though the model has been very open about her own plastic surgery transformation, she insists her daughters Bella Hadid and Gigi Hadid have never had any. The former Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star has always been honest about her decisions to get cosmetic procedures done to both her body and face, but in 2019 she said she is finally done with it. She posted a photo in lingerie on Instagram and captioned it, "Finally back to the original 1964, living in a body free of breast implants, fillers, Botox, extensions, and all the other stuff I thought I needed." In 2015, she revealed she had issues with her breast implants after they had ruptured and leaked into her chest cavity. She then started spreading awareness in hopes that people would educate themselves before making big decisions, and she now encourages people to fall in love with their internal beauty as well. Taking over our number 2 spot is LaToya Jackson. When seeing her transformation pictures side by side, you probably wouldn't even believe that the 2 photos were the same person. It's no secret that the Jackson family has had their fair share of cosmetic procedures done, each of them making headlines for it at one point in time. LaToya was making headlines in 2017 for being one nose job away from completely losing her nose. Paparazzi photos got the attention of some of America's top plastic surgeons who claim that she could literally lose her nose if she gets more work done. They pointed out that the outer flare of her nostrils have been overly narrowed to a point of near disappearance. Dr. Lyle Back said that each surgery on the face carries the risk of more collapsing, and said that it could be almost impossible for her to breathe through if she continues to get work done. And I've seen photos of people who lose their nose. It is terrifying. That's a thing. You can literally just lose your nose. In our number 1 spot is Khloe Kardashian. All the Kardashian sisters make headlines for their ever-changing looks, but Khloe seems to get the most heat for hers since her change might be the most drastic. It seems like she got fed up with all the rumors though and decided to talk about it after people started claiming she had a face transplant. During the recent Keeping Up with the Kardashians reunion, she addressed the accusations and admitted to all the cosmetic procedures she has had done. For the first time ever, she admitted to getting a nose job, Botox, and fillers. She admitted that she responded horribly to Botox and said that she had other injections done. Her body has also changed significantly throughout her career, which is also why people point out that she has had the biggest transformation out of all her sisters. Regardless though, in my opinion, she's always been beautiful, and she says the reason she never spoke about what she's had done is because people criticize her no matter what. American Pie movie series. And even though we would tell her she was always gorgeous, she decided to get some work done in 2006. At the time, she got a procedure called liposculpting, which ended up going horribly wrong. She talked about it and said the surgery completely botched her stomach and she could no longer book roles that had her in bikinis or with her stomach showing, which was normally required in the roles that she did book. She also said her breast implants were botched by the same doctor, so she didn't have a very pleasant experience. Fans are still surprised to see just how different she looks now compared to when we were first introduced to her. In spot number 7, we have Axl Rose. The legendary Guns N' Roses singer disappeared in the mid-90s when the band started to fall out, but when he returned down the road, he had a completely new look, and that is when the rumor mill started claiming that he had a facelift that totally changed his face. Articles began saying that he had Botox injections, face fillers, a facelift, but he did not speak out about the claims at that time. It wasn't until an interview in 2015 when he finally commented on it, saying that he has never had plastic surgery. Despite his denial, people did not believe him, and articles still read that he has had work done including hair transplants. Even doctors have come forward about the topic, suggesting the specific things he has had done to keep his face and skin looking so youthful throughout these years. There's just no way your face will change unless you have stuff done to it. I don't get it. Making her way into number 6, we have Janet Jackson. Her ageless beauty has been a topic of conversation for years now, and rumors sparked that she may have had a helping hand from a plastic surgeon. But despite the thousands of claims, she has only ever admitted to having a nose job done and insists that she's never gone under the knife otherwise. Experts have come forward saying they believe she has had work done though. A surgeon from the MYA Cosmetic Surgery said, "I believe Janet has had an upper/lower face and neck lift. Facelift scars are normally hidden in the hairline and around the back of the ear to keep scarring discreet." She also suggested that she has had Botox done on her forehead and around her eyes. But even with an expert's opinion and the world claiming that she has had plastic surgery, she still always denied it. Regardless, she still looks a lot different than she did before, and that's as much as we know about it. Halfway through at number 5, we have Joan Van Ark. Articles have printed titles reading, "How Plastic Surgery Damaged Joan Van Ark's Career." So this situation would be hard to deny, like some of the other celebrities on our list. Janet Jackson, I'm looking at you. The actress was known for being a total stunner at the peak of her career, but her look has changed dramatically thanks to plastic surgery. In January 2020, one source who saw the actress told the Globe that it looked like her face was melting. Well-known plastic surgeon Dr. Anthony Oon talked about her appearance and said, "I suspect she's had at least one facelift, if not two, causing her neckline and jawline to look tight. Her forehead is smooth and wrinkle-free, a possible consequence of a brow lift and Botox." She's never openly talked about her big transformation, but a source close to her said she's never liked the way she looked and once just had the money to burn on plastic surgery. I feel like that's the case for a lot of people. You get the money for it. It becomes more tempting, I'm sure, when you have the money to do it. Rolling into spot number 4 is JWoww, real name being Jenny Farley. You would know her as JWoww from the reality TV show Jersey Shore. She became a staple to the show, and one thing she was always known for was her huge breast implants. She flaunted them and loved the jokes and memes that came from it. But throughout the years, she decided to have other procedures done, and in 2009, she first debuted a new look. She claimed at the time that she'd never gone under the knife on her face and only had Botox done. But people were not buying it because the change just seemed too drastic. Even in more recent years, she looks different than she did in 2009. Fans got to actually see her undergo a facelift procedure on the reboot Jersey Shore Family Vacation. She wasn't able to travel on the show with the rest of the cast for a period of time because she was recovering, and her face was severely swollen because she got a blood clot. She eventually healed though and looks beautiful nonetheless. She just looks different. I actually watched that episode when her face got the blood clot and she was like, ugh, and holy moly, it looked painful. full. Taking over our third spot is Jennifer Grey. This is another time when a celebrity deeply regretted their plastic surgery because of the damage it did to their career. Her look changed so much throughout the years that she said it's what cost her whole career. The Dirty Dancing star was known for her distinctive looks when she first broke out into the Hollywood limelight. But she made the decision to get rhinoplasty early on into her career, and it was the worst decision she's ever made. Her words, not mine. She spoke about it during an interview and said, "I went into the operating room as a celebrity and came out anonymous. It was like being in a witness protection program or being invisible. I'll always be the once famous actress nobody recognizes because of a nose job." It's hard to say if she's had more work done since then, but fans are certain she has, as she looks different now than she did after the rhinoplasty. But fans do appreciate how open and honest she has been about her journey. Up next, number 2, we have Chloe Ferry. The Geordie Shore star has faced a ton of criticism online for the drastic change in her appearance, with fans saying she has gone overboard with the plastic surgery. You would hardly recognize the 25-year-old after she spent almost $100,000 on her surgeries in recent years. She admits to having 3 nose jobs, 2 breast augmentations, a butt lift, Botox, and fillers. The decision came unexpectedly when she made the decision to alter her natural beauty, but now she said she's finally done with it. She said it has been hard though to fight her addiction. She recently did an interview and said, "As soon as I started on the show in 2015, I was obsessed with surgery. When I met Charlotte and seen her lips, I was like, I need them. And now I've had the most work done out of all the cast." But she claims that she is finally done with it and says the lockdown actually helped her reflect and learn to love her looks for how she is now. Winning the number 1 place, whether he wants it or not, is Dane Cook. There haven't been many red carpet events in the past year because of this pandemic, but photos of Dane Cook on a previous red carpet went viral because of how different his face looked. The photos, which came from a red carpet event in 2019, actually went viral during the 2020 pandemic when people started sharing them online with the caption, "What the F happened to Dane Cook?" referring to his face and how different he looked. Fans started speculating that plastic surgery was the reason for his transformation. Dane has responded to these types of rumors in the past, saying that he has had work done, and says that he has not and that it is all about a healthy lifestyle. In 2018, he did an interview and said, "So many weirdos DMing me asking why I wax my eyebrows or use Botox. It's called healthy living, my friends. Never drank or did drugs. I've had a dermatologist for years to help me keep my skin nice with constant travel, drink mostly water." But after seeing the 2019 pictures, people do not believe him. Tell me what you think. Is it because he has a dermatologist? Or is it because he had work done? Come on. Starting off our list at number 10 is Phil Robertson. You will know him from appearing on the TV series Duck Dynasty. Back in 2013, he was fired from the show. They called it an indefinite hiatus, if we're being technical, after he made some incredibly offensive remarks about homosexuality. His remarks stem from his religious views, where he openly talks about how being a homosexual is considered a sin and anyone who is will not be in the kingdom of God. His words, not mine. He went on to say that being homosexual isn't right or natural. Some of his comments are too inappropriate to share, but one of them was referencing how he just doesn't get that someone would be attracted to a man's anus. Yes, he went there. After the comments were made, A&E Network released the following statement, I quote, "We are extremely disappointed to have read Phil Robertson's comments in GQ, which are based on his own personal beliefs and are not reflected in the series Duck Dynasty. His personal views in no way reflect those of A&E Networks, who have always been strong supporters and champions of the LGBT community." He was fired from the show, but apparently fans didn't agree with it and demanded that he come back to the show. He ended up only being fired for 9 days before they agreed to let him back on. So I guess they are just more forgiving than some. In spot number 9 is Nicolette Sheridan, known as one of the divas on the hit TV series Desperate Housewives. Although you could probably consider all of them to be divas, Nicolette might have been the biggest one of them all, according to the media. Reports say she constantly clashed with the show creator Mark Cherry, which led her to being dismissed from the show unexpectedly one day. Her character was killed off in April 2009 during one of the episodes, and Nicolette filed a lawsuit against Cherry and Touchstone Television, for wrongful termination. That is when she began to air out a bunch of dirty laundry, making claims that Cherry hit her in the head and that ABC fired her in retaliation for reporting the assault. Cherry admitted to touching her but said it was only a demonstration on how to enact a comedic moment during a scene. The case went to trial and the director stated that her character's death had been in the show's plan for months. He went on to say that her termination was because of differences and her unprofessional behavior. The trial ended with a mistrial and the appeals were rejected. The actress was left out of a job with no compensation. Talk about a lose-lose situation. Sliding into number 8, we have Thomas Gibson. The talented actor is known for many of his roles, but mainly for playing Aaron Hotchner in CBS series Criminal Minds. The actor had a huge reputation built from being on the show for so many seasons, but he ruined it all by one mistake. The actor was fired after having an altercation on set with the executive producer, Virgil Williams. However, according to TMZ, Gibson's termination was a long time coming. Apparently, they had several issues before that regarding the actor's anger management problems. He was first ordered to attend anger management classes after he punched an assistant director in the face back in 2010. Sources say Gibson was, and I quote, aggressive and verbally abusive for years on the set of Criminal Minds. Then, 6 years later, in 2016, he lashed out again and kicked the producer Williams after a heated argument over the script. They sent him home immediately, originally just for a 2-week suspension, but the producers and network decided it was best to terminate him altogether, so they did. He was never brought back to set. At number 7 is Taylor Momsen. You would have once recognized her as one of the main stars on the hit TV series Gossip Girl. However, you probably wouldn't recognize her today as the cute bubbly blonde because she has completely changed her look and behaviors. She is now the lead singer of the rock band The Pretty Reckless. She appeared on the TV show Gossip Girl for 4 seasons, but in the 4th season she only appeared in 4 episodes, and people were starting to notice that her screen time had gone down significantly. It was then announced that the actress would be scheduled for an indefinite hiatus, aka they were letting her go. Reports were made saying that the producers struggled working with her and her off-screen behaviors. One of them said during an interview that she had, I quote, unreliable and erratic behavior. It didn't help that her look also began to stray away from the girly innocent teen Jenny, which she played on the show. She was no longer a regular cast member of the 4th season, and she later told Elle magazine in 2011 that she quit acting altogether so that she could focus on her music career. So I guess it just all worked out for the better. Taking over spot number 6 is Paula Deen. She's the queen of Southern cooking and was one of the leading ladies on the Food Network. Unfortunately, she was dropped from the network back in 2013 after making racial comments. It all started when she didn't show up for an interview on the Today Show without any explanation as to why. We later found out, along with the Today Show, through online videos where the actress and cook begged her family and fans to forgive her for using racist language. Everyone was confused as hell until it was later explained that Paula was actually in a lawsuit with a former employee. In the documents, which ended up being released, she admitted to having using racial slurs, tolerated racial jokes, and condoned pornography in the workplace. The Food Network did not elaborate on its reasons for dropping her. They only stated that she would not be renewing her contract. Talk about a recipe for disaster. Halfway through our list, at number 5 is Shannon Doherty. The actress has a very successful career, which is surprising since she managed to get fired from 2 different TV shows, Beverly Hills 90210 and Charmed. Reports say that the actress was fired from Charmed after an ongoing feud with co-star Alyssa Milano. According to the Huffington Post, Shannon told Entertainment Tonight, I quote, there was too much drama on the set and not enough passion for the work. None of this was all that surprising because she already had feuding issues on Beverly Hills 90210, which ended up having her fired once again for getting into an altercation on set. Her co-star Tori Spelling opened up in 2015 about what really happened. Turns out Shannon and her other co-star Jenny Garth were always at each other's throats. Ugh, girls. The tension came to a breaking point on set one day when the crew had to physically pull the 2 girls apart because they were in a physical altercation. Tori Spelling went to her dad, who was the producer of the show, and had Shannon fired immediately. Tori said it wasn't easy having her friend fired, but it was something that just needed to happen. Alright guys, at number 4 is Robert Downey Jr. That is right, our beloved Iron Man wasn't always some big influential hero. The good news is he was never fired from Marvel, and that's really all that matters, am I right? However, it turns out that the actor was a mess before he became Iron Man, to a point where he was fired from set on the TV series called Ally McBeal. The series ran from 1997 to 2002, and during that time he was struggling with a severe drug addiction. During that timeline, he found himself in mugshots and courtrooms on multiple different occasions, occasions. It wasn't until 2001 when he was arrested once again for suspicion of being under the influence of illegal substances. It was this arrest that had him kicked off the show. He was let go immediately and written off of the show with no future plans to bring his character back. The producer of the show, David E. Kelly, made a statement following the arrest and said that the season would wrap without Downey Jr. in it. The producer refused to give a reason for the actor's sudden departure, but Downey later opened up about it with the truth. They rewrote the ending to the show, which didn't include his character, plain and simple. Since then, he has turned his whole life and career around, clearly. And I think it's safe to say that he has gone like above and beyond. Here we are, number 3, with the former Nickelodeon star Jeanette McCurdy. She's known for her role on iCarly and then its spin-off series called Sam and Cat. You can imagine it probably doesn't take much to get booted from a network like Nickelodeon, seeing as you have to be on your best behavior and more at all times. Well, this actress was until some of her personal off-screen behaviors ended up getting leaked to the public. And by behaviors, I mean nude photos. Well, not totally nude, she did have underwear on. The 21-year-old was mortified after pictures of her emerged all over the internet, which she claimed she had only sent to her ex-boyfriend. She had recently dissed him publicly, saying that he was a bad kisser, and then the photos leaked not very long after, so it really doesn't take a genius to piece 2 and 2 together. After the images surfaced, it was announced that the show would not be renewing a contract with the actress, or at all for that matter, which was surprising seeing as the first series had a huge success co-starring the one and only Ariana Grande. Jeanette went on to tweet out comments about Nickelodeon not treating her properly, which is why she ended up skipping the Kids' Choice Awards, even though she was nominated for Favorite TV Actress. The network denied all of her allegations and won't speak about the leaked images, because realistically, that is probably a very awkward conversation for a network like Nickelodeon.
4. Lori Loughlin. Who could forget the college scandal from 2019? Oh wait, you did? Well, allow me to refresh your memory. In 2019, a massive conspiracy was proven to be true when several A-list celebrities were exposed for bribing schools and their admissions to allow their kids into school. The situation had been going on for almost 10 years before justice was served. Lori, along with several celebrities like Felicity Huffman, were exposed to the media and a very public trial began. For years, these people were claiming that their kids were the best and the brightest and that they could do no wrong, when in reality, they were just scrolling on their phones waiting for mommy to drop a check off at Harvard. Over 40 individuals were eventually charged and brought to justice. High-level academic and athletic schools like Stanford University, Yale, and the University of Texas. It was revealed specifically how much the schools were making, while in Lori's case, anyone who agreed to admit their 2 daughters would receive $500,000 in one lump sum. Several students were either expelled or removed from the admissions list as a way to save face. For Lori, well, she went to prison for a few days and was made to do 250 hours of community service. Lesson learned. 3. Steven Rannazzisi. You may recognize Steve from his role as Kevin MacArthur in the hit FX series The League, or perhaps from his many stand-up and television specials. What you may not know is that Steve's a big old liar. Steve first moved to the west coast of the United States only 1 month following the events in New York in September 2001. When he first tried to break into the comedy scene, he claims that he found it difficult to fit in with his fellow comics and would indulge in stories to get a word in conversationally. Essentially, when he introduced himself and told people he was from New York, at the time the events were fresh and everyone was curious, were you there when it happened? Much like a lot of comedians, he started telling them sarcastically that he did in fact escape one of the towers before they fell, but before he could say nah, just kidding, that never happened, the conversation had moved on and he was now seen as a survivor. Needless to say, his story made its way through the scene and his career seemed to be on a rise. It was only a few short years later that he would be a main cast member on The League and would go on to write and star in several TV shows and films. In 2009, Steve told Mark Maron his tall tale, even adding details like, yeah, I worked on the 59th floor, second tower. Man, it was tough getting out of that one. I actually broke a few bones in my hand and took weeks to heal. Not long after the public exchange, the New York Times did a little detective work and discovered that he had actually worked in Midtown Manhattan at the time, nowhere near the incident. He's apologized for the lies and realizes now that people probably would have liked him just fine without the lies. Whoa, lying to make people like you is wrong? Blows my mind. 2. Lance Armstrong. 7-time Tour de France winner Lance Armstrong has gone down in history as a man who was unable to ride a bike without chemical training wheels. In an interview with Oprah Winfrey in 2013, Lance was brought on to discuss the allegations floating around regarding his status as a Tour de France winner. Several sources claim that Lance had to take performance-enhancing substances to win each race, as well as a type of transfusion involving the red life juice that live inside all of us. Armstrong went on air and fessed up to every single thing they were claiming he had done. However, he did deny the notion that he was some kind of mastermind who would control his teammates and force them to join in his extracurricular activities. But amidst his admission of guilt, say that 10 times fast, there was a moment where he tried to pin the situation on his battle with cancer. He wraps it up by saying he should have tried harder to cancel the culture rather than create more of a problem. He was stripped of all 7 Tour de France titles and has since lived in exile among the cycling world. 1. Milli Vanilli. Taking the top spot on our list is the infamous musical duo Milli Vanilli. In 1989, the duo of Fab Morvan and Rob Pilatus were on the top of the world. A fairly unknown crew had quickly raised to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 list. They began performing their hit song in front of thousands of fans across the world, and they were hooked. Until very shortly into their rise to fame, they were performing in front of 80,000 people at a theme park in Bristol, Connecticut. They took the stage with their well-known dance moves and started singing, but when the chorus came, it stayed, repeating over and over again on a loop. The track they had been lip-syncing to was trash, and the truth was revealed. Not only did they not sing a single note of their hit song, Girl You Know It's True, but the song itself was actually stolen from another group a few years prior. Milli Vanilli were a disgrace, and what was worse is that only a few days before, they were exposed to the world that they had won an award for the tune and were forced to return them.
Starting off this list, we got Beyonce. After Beyonce released the hit album Lemonade, Amy thought it would be funny if she made a video of her and some of her snatched cast members lip-syncing along to it. The video featured Goldie Hawn, Wanda Sykes, and Joan Cusack. Even though the video was released on Tidal, seemingly approved by Beyonce and Jay-Z, it got tons of backlash from fans. Most of the claims centered around the fact that regardless of approval or not, this was not Schumer's work to parody. Some also felt it was particularly tone deaf for them to parody a song about black empowerment. Amy addressed the backlash in an article, admiring how the album brought women together. But Amy didn't address the key issues that fans had, making it clear that Amy didn't understand why it was out of place. Next up, Tammy Pescatelli. Since Amy Schumer has become an A-list comedian, she's been accused of joke stealing on many occasions. Most of the drama took place on Twitter, where Kathleen Madigan, Wendy Liebman, and Tammy Pescatelli all alleged that Amy stole jokes from them. Pescatelli was the most vocal, tweeting, quote, "What's always been amazing to me is that she purports to be a feminist, yet only steals from other female comedians. If we all call her on it, we are jealous or career shamed. Be successful. We want you to do well, just do it with your own material. By the way, she blocked me." One of the jokes was from Kathleen Madigan, where she said Oprah was so rich she could hire someone to slap food out of her hand as a weight loss tool. The joke that Amy stole from Pescatelli was talking about how women will dress their boyfriends so horribly that nobody else will want to date them. Amy used this joke in her movie Trainwreck. Next up, Equinox staff. Amy Schumer can be pretty full of herself. She made that clear when she pulled the "Do you know who I am" card at a New York City gym. Basically, she tried to walk into the Equinox without presenting her membership card, which is standard policy. One employee said, quote, "She felt entitled to just walk in. She didn't want to show her key fob and wanted to be able to go in and not be questioned." Apparently, when the employee asked for her ID, Amy replied that she's famous. The source added, quote, "It was clear that Amy wanted to go in under the radar and not even stop to have the desk clerk look up her account on a computer. Apparently, Amy was so peeved about the entire experience that she left the gym altogether." Next up, Jackson Murphy. Jackson Murphy, a 17-year-old film critic who took a photo with Amy at the Critics' Choice Awards, tweeted a raunchy caption along with the photo of him and Schumer, and it totally backfired. Schumer is known for her self-deprecating humor, specifically relating to sleeping around. So the critic posted a photo of the two of them with the caption, quote, "Spent the night with Amy Schumer, certainly not the first guy to write that." Even though it was a light-hearted jab, Schumer tweeted back clearly disappointed. She wrote, quote, "I get it, cause I'm a whole glad I took a photo with you. Hi to your dad." Jackson quickly apologized once he realized her feelings were hurt, claiming he thought she would like the joke. Schumer later tweeted back, quote, "That's really okay, honey. I just remember thinking you and your dad were sweet, and it was just a bummer to read that." Some people felt that Amy had the appropriate reaction, but others felt she was way too harsh on the teen for a simple joke that she makes oftentimes about herself. Next up, Steve-O. While Schumer and Steve-O were on the panel for Comedy Central's roast of Charlie Sheen in 2012, she told a joke that many felt crossed the line. At the time, Steve-O's good friend and collaborator Ryan Dunn had just passed away in a drunk driving accident. Amy's joke was, quote, "I truly am, no joke, sorry for the loss of your friend Ryan Dunn. I know you must have been thinking it could have been me, and I know we were all thinking, why wasn't it?" The camera then panned to Steve-O's face, and he was not laughing. Fans immediately came to his defense after the special, trashing Schumer, but Steve-O actually came to her defense and said it was a good joke. While on the Big J show at KRSQ Hot 101.9, Steve-O said that Schumer asked him for help to calm his fans. Steve-O agreed, saying, quote, "Hey everybody, it was a roast, you know, where people say mean things to each other on purpose. That silly little was just doing her job. To this day, she will not apologize for the joke." Next up, Ashley Graham. Like I said before, Amy Schumer is very self-deprecating, and she often talks about how her body is not model-esque. But it seems that she doesn't like when other people put that label onto her. When Glamour magazine included Amy Schumer in the 2016 Chic at Any Size issue, alongside plus-size stars like Melissa McCarthy, Adele, and Ashley Graham, Schumer was offended by her inclusion. She shared her thoughts on Instagram, writing, quote, "I think there's nothing wrong with being plus-size, beautiful, healthy women. Plus size is considered size 16 in America. I go between a size 6 and 8. Glamour Mag put me in their plus size only issue without asking me or letting me know, and it doesn't feel right to me. Young girls seeing my body type thinking that is plus size." Although many understood Schumer's point, some were confused, as she constantly speaks about not being super skinny. She even said at the Glamour Women of the Year Awards, quote, "I'm like 160 pounds and can catch a D whenever I want." Ashley Graham didn't like the sentiment and clapped back in Cosmopolitan, saying, quote, "Amy talks about being a big girl in the industry. You thrive on being a big girl, but when you're grouped in with us, you're not happy about it. That to me felt like a double standard."
In our number 10 spot is Heidi Montag. If you watched her drastic plastic surgery transformation on The Hills, then you will never forget seeing her big reveal for the first time. She got the title of the plastic surgery queen after doing the impossible and going through 10 surgeries in one day. A very dangerous decision, and one that she regrets. She has talked about it since and said that she was actually dead on the table at one point and did not know if she was going to make it out alive. The long list of surgeries include a brow lift, Botox in her face, a nose job, a chin reduction, fat injections in the cheeks, ears pinned back, nasolabial folds, lip, neck, waist, hip, and thigh, liposuction, breast implants to a size F, a butt augmentation, and her back curved. At the time, she said she felt the pressures of Hollywood to look a certain way, but now she says that she would take it all back if she could, and even encourages other women to really think about it before considering plastic surgery. Next up at number 9 is Dolly Parton. The queen of country music has always been known for her look, including her plastic surgery. It is no secret, and she's never been shy talking about it. At 75 years old, she still looks youthful as ever, and that is because she is not afraid of a little plastic surgery. In 2019, she did an interview with CBS Sunday Morning and admitted that she knows she looks artificial and is okay with it. She said, "It is true that I look artificial, but I believe that I'm totally real. My look is really based on a country girl's idea of glam. I wasn't naturally pretty, so I make the most of anything I've got." She really is particular about her looks, revealing that she even sleeps with a full face of makeup on in case of emergency. But she's also the first person to poke fun at herself and her journey with plastic surgery. How could we ever forget the famous quote from 2011 when she said, "If something is bagging, sagging, or dragging, I'll tuck it, suck it, or pluck it." Moving on to number 8, we have Wayne Newton. He was once a fresh-faced kid from Norfolk who became a legendary Las Vegas entertainer and vocalist. But similar to a lot of other celebrities, it seems he felt the pressure to keep his good looks as he got older. In June of 2018, he made an appearance on The Bachelorette and shocked fans with a different face, everyone saying he looked like a wax replica of himself. According to a plastic surgeon expert, Dr. Brian Glatt, Wayne simply just took things too far. He said, "The look is very overdone and artificial. His cheeks are bursting at the seams from overfill of Botox injections." The internet also had a lot to say about it, mocking him all over Twitter for being the poster for overdoing plastic surgery. As we know, people can be very cruel online, and real life, but Wayne clearly felt he needed it and made the decision for himself. Cruising into number 7, we have Carrot Top. It's never been confirmed that he has had plastic surgery, but it has been up for debate ever since his face looked reinvented. In more recent years, it appears that the comedian has undergone multiple plastic surgery procedures, but he's always denied the claims. Professional plastic surgeons have come forward about the topic and speculated that it looks like he had cosmetic procedures done to give him his smooth face and an excessively arched brow. But regardless, the comedian says he wears makeup and that is why he looks different. However, just a few days ago, a fan spotted him on the streets and filmed him for a TikTok, and it immediately went viral. People started a TikTok trend where they react to the video of him, mocking how different he looks than when his career first started. His behavior in the video was also very strange, so that had other people speculating that he was on something, if you know what I mean. Sniping our number 6 spot, we have Donatella Versace. The designer is another celebrity to not openly admit or discuss her plastic surgery, so it too has been a big debate for a while now. Although just by looking at then and now pictures, it's almost impossible to think that her face changed that drastically naturally. While she admits that she doesn't look like this genetically, she says her transformation happened due to her beauty regimen. During an interview, she said, "I'm not like this genetically. I use tons of cream and take care of my hair and skin." One thing she did admit to was Botox, revealing that she had it done in the past, only on her face, but said that it is no longer part of her beauty routine, which most people do not believe. She has looked this way for a long time now though, so you really only know how drastic her change is when you see older pictures of her. Halfway through our list, number 5, we have Katie Price. After being given the title of a glamour icon in the 90s, she struggled with wanting to hold on to her youthful looks that she became known for. She's always been beautiful, but she's also been open about the fact that she felt the pressure to look a certain way in the spotlight. She admits to going under the knife dozens of times to alter her overall appearance. She spent so much money on the procedures that in 2019 she was declared bankrupt. Her family has also been very public about her transformation, claiming that she was addicted to plastic surgery and wanted her to seek help for it. It has been a very long journey for her, an expensive and painful one, but in recent times she is trying to settle down with it. She has given herself time to heal from all the surgeries, and she also cut her hair into a short bob to try and have a more natural look. Coming in hot at number 4 is Janice Dickinson. She has been described as the world's first supermodel and had a wildly successful modeling career in the 1970s and 1980s to back that statement up. She later served as a judge on 4 seasons of America's Next Top Model and started her own modeling agency in 2005. So modeling has been a huge part of her life, and it might be why she turned to plastic surgery to keep up with her own appearance, even though she has always been stunning. But unlike some of the other celebrities on our list who chose to not talk about it, she has always been very open about her plastic surgery. She actually loves talking about the extensive work that she has gotten over the years. During an interview, she actually admitted and said, "I live for plastic surgery." She has had Botox, a facelift, different cosmetic procedures, a tummy tuck, and fillers. In our 3rd spot is Jessica Alves, formerly known as Rodrigo Alves, or the Human Ken doll. Jessica skyrocketed into the spotlight when she was Rodrigo because he had transformed his entire body into looking like a human doll. But in recent times, he transformed into Jessica, and now she looks like a human Barbie doll. So from this point forward, I will be using her new pronouns, she and her. Jessica has spent over £650,000 on more than 60 operations to transform herself into Ken, and then over £100,000 to transform into her current female body. The transformation from Rodrigo to Ken was drastic. You would never recognize that it was the same person, which is why she got so famous in the first place. But even the transformation from Ken to Barbie is big, and now Rodrigo is completely out of the appearance, which is what she ultimately wanted. She has opened up about how happy she is now, saying that she just reached a point where she could not live as a man anymore, even if it was a Ken doll. Making her way into number 2 is Meg Ryan. Over the last few years, articles have posted headlines claiming that plastic surgery ruined her career, but she has never confirmed getting the work done. In 2015, she denied having plastic surgery, but the rumors have never stopped because she looks so different. People have accused her of feeling the pressure of Hollywood, which is why she took a break and disappeared from the spotlight for a while. She has talked about her break and said that she left because she was burned out and felt isolated at the time. But when she came back around, she looked a lot different, and people have criticized her appearance ever since they saw just how different she looks compared to the beginning of her career. But Meg says that she blames ageism on her career as an actor not progressing. She said Hollywood and audiences were just too limited because people would not see her as anything other than a young blonde love interest. We have made it to number 1, and we have Mickey Rourke. People got used to his looks after being in the Hollywood spotlight for decades now. He was often praised for his looks. He was a hunk, to say the least. Which is why people were left in shock after paparazzi photos surfaced and showed him looking like a different person. There was a reason for his journey with plastic surgery though, and it all started when his acting career seemed to hit a dead end. At that point, he decided he would go back to his first passion, which was boxing. Throughout his time fighting, he suffered from injuries like a split tongue, a compressed cheekbone, and broken ribs. It was then when he decided to have reconstructive surgery on his face. So it wasn't all for cosmetic reasons, he actually did a lot of damage to the structure of his face. But he has openly talked about it and admitted that he went to the wrong plastic surgeon the first time and was left with botched results. He had to undergo more surgeries to correct the previous ones, which ultimately changed his whole appearance. As of 2017, it was recorded that he had 5 nose jobs total. At number 2 is Columbus Short. The actor was living the dream, starring on the hit TV show Scandal, where he played Harrison Wright on the series from 2012 to 2014. Although he was talented, he was let go because of his drug addiction and different issues with the law. He was first arrested for felony battery after a brawl took place at a bar, and then also got arrested for a domestic violence incident involving his wife. TMZ reported that his wife got a restraining order against him after she claimed he put a knife to her throat, threatening to kill her. Not only did the actor have legal issues, but he also had trouble quitting his cocaine addiction. When it came to be too much, the show decided to let him go on set one day and ended up killing his character off of the show. Back in 2014, Short opened up about his addiction during an interview with Access Hollywood Live, saying, and I quote, "I'll be candid, I was struggling with drugs. I had a lot on my plate, and I was using unhealthy ways to kind of self-medicate and deal with a lot of the heavy-duty stuff in my life." When they asked him what type of drugs he was abusing, his response was, "I was doing cocaine and drinking a lot." He has since openly apologized to everyone involved with the show and also to all of his fans. Taking the number 1 spot on our list is Drake. Don't forget, you guys, before he was a rapper, he was just another actor in Toronto starring on the TV series Degrassi: The Next Generation. He took on the role of Jimmy in the series from the years 2001 to 2009, but while he was on the show, he was also working on music on the side. Turns out that is actually the reason that he was eventually let go from the series. During an interview with W Magazine, he said, I quote, "That was part of the reason I was kicked off the show. Back then, I would spend a full day on set and then go to the studio to make music until 4 or 5 a.m. I'd sleep in my dressing room and then be in front of the cameras again by 9 a.m. Eventually, they realized I was juggling 2 professions and told me I had to choose. I chose this life." So basically, you're telling me that it was like a Troy Bolton situation where you have to pick between music and your other passion. They ended up letting him go from the show, but he has no hard feelings about it, seeing as he is now one of the most successful artists in Hollywood. Starting off the list at number 10 is Bruce Willis, who happened to get fired from the movie The Expendables 3. We all found out about this through Twitter back in 2013 when the cast was being announced for the movie. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Willis had been offered $3 million for 4 days of shooting. Problems began when he started demanding a pay raise to $4 million for the 4 days, so basically $1 million per day. That's when Sylvester Stallone, the co-founder of The Expendables, let the actor go immediately. Not only did he fire him, but he also took it to Twitter, tweeting out, "Greedy and lazy, a sure formula for career failure." Within 72 hours of Bruce being let go from the movie, he was replaced by the one and only Harrison Ford. Fans found out once again through Sylvester's Twitter. He tweeted out, "Willis out, Harrison Ford in. Great news, been waiting years for this." People were shocked that he would be let go and replaced so quickly, but I mean, can you really blame them? I don't think anyone in this entire world deserves to be paid $1 million a day. That is absurd. At number 9 is Lisa Kudrow, who was fired from the hit TV show Frasier. That's right, before the actress found fame as Phoebe Buffay on Friends, she appeared in the pilot for Frasier. She was originally cast to play Frasier's producer named Roz, but she was fired just after 1 episode and was replaced with Perry Gilpin. In 2017, the casting director Jeff Greenberg has opened up about the recasting and admitted that it was a horrible idea for him to make the switch. He said, "Kelsey Grammer came in and read with 5 or 6 of them, and our 2 favorites were Lisa Kudrow and Perry Mary Gilpin. We tested them at NBC and they chose Lisa. She was great. However, when they showed the pilot to a test audience, things started to turn away from Lisa's favor. The casting director said they believed Lisa's version of the character wasn't well received. But at the end of the day, it worked out the best for Lisa, who ended up becoming very successful not too long after. Sliding to the number 8 spot is Lindsay Lohan, who was let go from the movie The Other Side back in 2010. Before that, her last appearance on the big screen was in her 2007 flick called I Know Who Killed Me. She was trying to make her comeback and she was thrilled to be involved in The Other Side. However, sources say she was let go because she wasn't bankable. The actress was making headlines and it wasn't the good kind of publicity. At the time, the writer and director David Michaels told TMZ, "Our team simply chose to move on from Lindsay and will be announcing a replacement soon." Fans were shocked, but Lindsay wasn't all that surprised. In the past, she has spoken openly about her issues in Hollywood and admitted that it's hard for people to give her a chance. She said, "There's not much I can do about the fact that I've become kind of a tabloid obsession. I can't change that. And yes, the websites, the gossip pages, and all of that stuff have hurt my career. They're like the burn books of Hollywood." Good news is MTV has recently given her a chance, and the actress launched her own MTV show this year called Lindsay Lohan's Beach Club, which had a successful first season. Taking our number 7 spot is Christian Bale, who was fired from American Psycho. I know you're probably confused, so give me a chance to explain. It was a very weird twist of events. Here's what happened. Bale was originally offered the role of Patrick Bateman, but the studio later decided to hire Leonardo DiCaprio instead. Lionsgate announced DiCaprio's casting at the Cannes Film Festival in May of 1998. Bale was completely thrown off by the news because he was hired for the role but not properly fired. But their new hire ended up screwing them over because DiCaprio wasn't pleased with the movie and had some issues with the script and plot. So over some time, he decided to bail on the film and signed onto a different project. Luckily, Bale was forgiving and the role landed back in his lap. So basically, I'm not sure what list he should be on because he was basically fired through a public announcement, replaced, rehired, and replaced Leo with himself, who was the original one to be hired. So let's just move on. In at number 6 is Janet Hubert, who was fired from the hit TV show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The ongoing feud between the actress and her co-star Will Smith has made headlines on many occasions. The two of them worked on the show together for years. Janet played his Aunt Viv in the first 3 seasons. By the end of the 3rd season, she was fired and replaced with Daphne Maxwell Reid, who took on the role in the 4th, 5th, and 6th season. The show portrayed a very loving and close family bond, but apparently the off-screen feud between the two of them became a big problem. Smith openly talks about the feud and told Jet magazine, and I quote, "I can say straight up that Janet Hubert wanted the show to be called the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air. The Aunt Viv of Bel-Air show. No matter what, to her, I'm just the Antichrist." He went on to explain that she was constantly demanding things that were just unreasonable. Janet responded to his comments in the interview and stated, "He has got me fired from the show and now he's trying to snatch my career away from me." To this day, the two stars have never resolved their issues. She didn't even show up for the reunion, but no one was really surprised by it. Some of the cast members shared photos on Instagram though, and you can't help but wonder if she misses being a part of the hilarious family that we all came to love. Halfway through the list at number 5 is Lori Petty, who was tossed from the movie Demolition Man and then quickly replaced. Back in the early 90s, Lori Petty was ready for a breakout in her career. She was part of some of the era's most memorable movies like A League of Their Own, Free Willy, Point Break, and Tank Girl. So she was pretty stoked when she was cast in the 1997 action film Demolition Man, starring alongside Sylvester Stallone. But that excitement didn't last long, as Lori wasn't a fan of her character and got into arguments with the producer Joe Silver over the writing of the script. Eventually, the arguments were just too much and she was fired from the role. Not too long after, Sandra Bullock was brought in for the role. Alright guys, at number 4 is James Remar, who is fired from Aliens. The actor really shouldn't need an introduction since he is such a legend in the acting industry, but I'll give him one anyways. He's been acting for over 30 years, building an impressive resume to say the least, taking on roles in Transformers, Dark of the Moon, Pineapple Express, Django Unchained, and many more, which is why it was super confusing when he was suddenly let go from Aliens. It's not a subject that gets brought up much in documentaries about the film, and the cast and crew rarely mention it during interviews. Remar's first claim when it happened was that he had urgent matters at home that tore him away from the shoot. It wasn't until 2014 that he opened up and told the real story. Turns out he was fired because he was charged with drug possession. The actor said, "I had a terrible drug problem. I was initially cast as Corporal Hicks and and I was fired after a few weeks of filming because I got busted for possession of drugs. Not long after he left, Michael Biehn replaced him for the part. Remar has no problem talking about it now and says that he got through his horrible drug habit. Here we are at number 3 with Sylvester Stallone, who was axed from Beverly Hills Cop back in 1984. Not long after his third Rocky and his first Rambo movies, he was set out to play Axel Foley in Beverly Hills Cop. It was in development with Paramount, and the actor was offered the role, to which he accepted. The role was a Detroit police detective, which ended up being played by Eddie Murphy instead. Why? Because apparently Stallone wasn't a huge fan of the script. During interviews, the actor was first to admit that he didn't think he wanted to do the film after all because he thought the script would affect his tough guy image. So the actor insisted on rewriting the role the way he wanted it, even though he was told not to. He said, "Ron told me don't change it, but I took the script and rewrote it as kind of a compromise, where the guy was action-oriented, but he also had a wry sense of humor. The producers were not pleased and immediately rejected his new script." That's when he told them that he wouldn't do the movie without the original script, so they pulled the plug and let the actor go. Thanks to him, Eddie Murphy had a breakthrough in his acting career for taking on the role with the original script. At number 2 is Roseanne Barr, who was fired from her own show, Roseanne. How does that even happen? You have to do something pretty serious to be fired from your own show. And well, she did. Her show was the most popular new TV show in America, and it got cancelled in just a matter of hours, all because of a few derogatory tweets. Roseanne went on some sort of Twitter rant where she tweeted out racist and derogatory tweets. Some of them were aimed directly at Barack Obama's aide, Valerie Jarrett, comparing her to Planet of the Apes and the Islamic Brotherhood. Fans were outraged, and so was everyone involved in her show. When ABC saw her overnight tweets the next day, the key executives were having conference calls with the president of Disney/ABC Group, the CEO of Disney, and her boss Ben Sherwood. Roseanne ended up tweeting out an apology and said she would be leaving Twitter, however she never actually left. Not long after, ABC confirmed the cancellation of the show. Realistically, the show couldn't go on without her, and they said that there was no way of coming back from this. The ABC executive announced that more than 200 people involved in the show also lost their jobs due to the cancellation. Barr tweeted out a response apology and said, "Don't feel sorry for me, guys. I just want to apologize to the hundreds of people and wonderful writers and talented actors who lost their jobs on my show due to my stupid tweet." Well, at least she apologized. Taking our number 1 spot is Adam Sandler, who was fired from SNL back in 1995. The actor has always said that he has no idea why he was fired from the show, but he wasn't the only one. When it first happened, he called his friend Chris Farley, who also starred on SNL with him, and he told Adam that he was fired too. The reasoning has always been a mystery, but now it's something the actor can poke fun at. Just a few weeks ago, after 24 years, he made his way back on SNL and sang a comedic song about how he was fired from the show. He started out with a monologue about how happy he was to be back on the show and how he is thrilled to bring his wife and children with him. He said, "My daughter asked me if this was the greatest, Dad, then why did you leave? Well, honey, there's a reason." That's when he breaks into a song called Fired by NBC. One of his final lines of the song is, "I was fired, yeah, I was fired. NBC said I was done, but then I made more than $4 billion at the box office, so I guess you could say I won." He continues laughing at his own jokes, and the audience laughed along with him. But like, I actually want to know why he was fired in the first place.